Welcome to Lorehammer, episode 38, Genestealer Cults.
Hello and welcome to Lorehammer. My name is Eric.
I've seen you started with the magic hands.
The old razzle dazzle. Like that countdown I gave.
The jazz hands are very nice.
You're welcome. Just thought I'd bring a little pizzazz to this episode.
Well, it's a great start so far.
Excellent. I like the energy. I want to bring the energy up. I've decided that's my new role, is to just be the hype guy. So when you're ranting, I'm just like, yes, come on, Mark, get it.
As long as you keep that 6-inch rule of touching.
I'm only always within 6 inches.
No,
that's the rule.
No.
That's what's written on the board. So
why 6 inches? Is there a particular reason you like that number?
Well, then your wiener can't touch people, right?
Oh, mine can.
Joke's on you. I got shady pills off the internet that are supposed to increase my growth and girth for the low price of $300.
It's not too bad.
Nice.
No, it's good.
You needed it.
He needs it for those Russian singles that are in his area.
They're in my area and they want to talk to me, damn it. That's what the internet said. Welcome to Lorehammer, I guess. I guess I introduced myself. I'm Eric.
This is Mark.
And this is Jordan.
And then joining us today
is Guest
one.
Guest number one.
Guest number one. Thank you so much for joining us, Guest.
It's a pleasure to be here. Input 4, Guest 1. Input 1, Guest 4. Or the other way around. Do you want to just lift that mic up a little bit? There you go. Yeah. Or you can lift the whole arm.
Someone needs to readjust that whole thing.
Oh, get right in there. There you go.
Yeah, I don't know why it's all funky.
It's because Christian uses that one.
Oh, yeah.
That guy.
Gad.
But James is joining us today.
You.
Is that his name?
I hope so, because that's what I've been calling him.
Well, you can stick with it. That's good. We'll go with it.
Works for me. The last episode you were on was...
Orc Warlords?
Yes, we were doing Orky.
Okay.
Orky stuff.
And I wasn't even there for that one.
No.
It was nice.
It was nice.
Well, that's fucking rude, but okay, let's keep going, I guess. Welcome to my podcast, James.
Thanks. It's great to be here.
Today's episode is all about Genestealer Cults, which is very well-timed.
The second one that has been just well-timed.
The first one we planned, though.
The Orc one?
Yeah, we totally did. We totally waited till the Codex came out before it. Did we not?
No, we've just been going through, we do...
That's right, we had these planned for, months.
Yeah, we do a couple Imperium-aligned ones, and then we do one of every Xenos.
The Emperor has blessed us.
Oh, yeah,
we know his favor to be true.
Of course.
Yeah, so if you haven't checked out the new Genestealer models, there are some out. We're going to chat a little bit about those later, which is rare for us.
Yeah.
Maybe you should do it more.
Maybe you should shut your face, James.
You know what?
Let me paint you a picture of the new models. Okay, so they're miniature scale. I believe they're in 28 millimeters.
Cool.
They're of Genestealer Cults.
Oh, sweet. What are they doing?
They are doing various activities.
Some are in this pose.
Just think of
some
life.
Are that pose.
Oh, that's very helpful for the users. I'll replicate those poses for you.
Yeah.
I'm doing them right now.
They're very nice.
Thank you.
I've also seen them in many different colors.
Like this color?
They're painted.
Yep. That color?
Well, yep.
So
that all seems accurate. That is all accurate.
Yeah, I'm excited for them. Actually, there was a huge dump recently on the weekend. Vigilis, I think it was.
Games Workshop just took a huge dump on us.
They did.
It was
and on
weekends.
their lore, specifically.
It was a big pile of crap.
A lot of cool stuff came out.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
Was really cool.
I was a fan.
We will chat more about that, but this episode is all about Genestealer Cults, that insidious infestation of the Tyranid race. Before we really dive in, though, let's thank our newest patron, by the name of Lucas. Domine Patri Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Thank you so much.
Amen. Papa bless.
Thank you so much, Lucas.
$10 patron.
It was great.
So that's always a good time. It's good to know that I am valued $10 worth a month.
Well, you gotta actually divide that by at least 3.
Shit. So I'm worth $4.
$3.33.
I'm rounding up.
Yeah. If you guys don't know, we do have a Patreon. We have a couple things we'd like to buy just to improve the podcast. But through it, we've actually been able to already buy a lot. We bought
audio mixer.
I don't know what it's called.
It's an audio interface.
There we go. We bought an audio interface. We bought mics.
4 microphones,
Yeah.
4 stands.
Everything to just kind of make this a little better for you guys.
Say it.
No, I don't want to
Say it.
make your money, whore.
Oh, that's not what I thought. I thought you were going to go, you guys.
No,
like,
I wasn't.
you,
No.
the people.
But it's that line from
Star Trek.
No, that's a Community line.
Oh.
That's when Pierce buys the handshake from Troy and Abed.
Oh,
And he's like, we're
yes.
doing the handshake. And they're like, I don't want it. And he's like, make your money, whore.
Pierce in the early seasons was what made that show.
Right?
He was the underappreciated hero.
I don't know. Hero seems a little bit of a stretch. But let's talk about the next thing on our icon here.
I got a fun game to play.
All right, yes, because I didn't have this written here when we wrote the notes, so explain.
The game is called Spot the Genestealer Cultist.
Okay.
So, unbeknownst to you guys, one of us in this room is actually a Genestealer Cultist.
Ooh, it's like Clue.
Uh-huh.
I'll just tuck my 4th arm away then.
That's all I got. I thought I had no game. I thought we would just make a couple jokes about it, and there's the James joke. I'll just tuck my. The game's over. He's the cultist, apparently. Basically,
We found the cultist.
basically the first one to make a Genestealer joke lost about being.
James, you lose.
Only the Genestealer would,
Of
hide
course.
his 4th arm.
Yeah, I was
So-
in my brain. I was thinking of one, but he was just quicker.
He was quicker.
I'm really glad.
Well, because Genestealers are known to be highly intelligent and clever.
Wait,
so
what are you trying to say?
I'm saying he is clearly more intelligent and clever than you and quicker.
Well, I mean, it's not like I've ever gone on a podcast and stolen intellectual property from someone else.
Well, people do that.
I think that's quite clearly what separates you from the chaff.
I was going to say the wheat from the chaff, the gold from the dregs. That's definitely me. I had a big 300 thing a couple episodes ago that you guys might remember.
Oh, yes.
So that was pretty much word for word from James's mouth.
He told me that
Did he?
afterwards.
I was
yeah.
So did he
chat
tell you
about
why
it.
I didn't share that information when I originally said
because
that?
you're a no good thieving whore.
No. I didn't do it because after I said that, you guys shat on it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, I don't want you guys to know that you didn't like James' idea.
I would tell him too.
I was like, I'm not going to say it was James. I'll protect him.
I spent 4 years in university and paid like $20,000 to be able to say that. That's all I've got. That's all Don't take it from me.
Worth it.
Just for the record, for people who missed that part, James apparently thinks that 300 is perfectly historically accurate.
That's false, first of
Perfectly.
all.
I could make it.
100%.
We're not doing this, but I
We could do a bonus
could.
episode.
I just want you to know I could. I could make that happen, but we're not gonna.
We'll
We've
do it
already
on
been
another
there.
episode.
We've already been there. We're not going back.
Oh God!
But I could right now.
I believe you.
I could do this whole podcast.
Stop yelling.
James, put your pants back on, okay? You don't need to do that here. Let's talk about Genestealers. Specifically, let's talk about Genestealer cultists.
But
Specifically, we'll talk about Genestealers before we talk about Genestealer cultists.
yes,
Cool.
So
So let's get right in here. The first thing, before we even talk about the cult as a whole, we're going to share a little bit of information about the xenoform Genestealer. So this is a specific body type. I don't know.
organism.
Organism. That's a good word. It's a specific organism of the Tyrannid race.
Yeah, like they have many different types of things depending on what they're doing. They'll come up with these different organisms to
Like distraction carnifexes.
Yeah, perfect example of a different organism.
Yeah.
James.
Am I supposed to provide an example?
Yes, that's how
Yes.
this works.
Let's talk about those little termies, little termigants.
Yes,
Terminator?
yes.
That's the wrong race.
Termigants.
Why did we have him on?
Termigants.
Who invited him?
But yeah, they're a specific tyrannid organism, and they're 6 feet tall and 600 pounds. So that's always fun.
Right. That was that
A pound a foot.
That
100
face you
pounds a
just
foot.
made is the exact same face I made. Like Mark's reading it out and I'm typing it, and I look at him and I'm like, no. I'm like, I'm 6 feet tall. I don't weigh 600 pounds.
don't
I'm
look
5'4"
like
and
it.
I weigh 480. So
Yeah, but that's a dream of yours. That's a goal.
They don't look like it. Like if you look at the models, they do not look like they'd be.
Mark was
600
Mark
pounds.
has a
Yeah,
very
I
good
agree.
reason for it. It's because they're covered in heavy plating.
Sure.
Yeah, and who knows what their muscle
yeah.
density
Yeah,
is.
who knows what their bones are actually made of? Like we expect a certain density and mass, but who knows what they have, right?
That might be true.
So the expectation is 6 feet tall.
Well, think about a
600
gorilla,
pounds.
actually. Like, if you think about a gorilla, though, those things are about probably, like a silverback is not much taller than 6 feet, and it's about that much weight, if not more. So maybe
But
they're
it's
just
thick,
gorilla
though.
sized.
Like
They're
they don't look as thick.
thick, 2 C's.
What are you saying?
Goddamn booty.
If I wasn't married,
but,
those
yeah.
silverbacks.
The interesting thing that I think the reason that I had such trouble putting that 600-pound weight to them is because they're always described as extremely agile and quick.
Yeah, so even though they weigh that much, they still are incredible.
And we're talking like
they move 8 inches, man.
right, exactly.
Fucking
How much
wild.
does a Space Marine move?
Primaris or regular?
Primaris.
I don't know.
6 inches.
But yeah, they're incredibly quick. They are bipedal, and like their posture is
It's pretty hunched.
yeah, and it's almost humanoid. Like, you know, they got legs, it goes into a torso, and then from the torso
They have
actually
forearms like all
yeah,
of us do in this room.
Yeah, but they're very hunched over. Think if anyone's seen a picture of me when I hurt my back, think that, like just hunched over. Yeah, and they got 4 arms, and their arms actually, depending like on
the mutation they're given.
on the mutations, they usually have claws, but they can also have like scything talons on them.
They can also have hands.
Yeah, regular hands to manipulate things, like hands with like 5 fingers. Actually, I've never counted, but maybe it's 6. I don't know. But
But
it's
they have
hand.
the opposable thumb.
Exactly, opposable thumb and a couple fingers.
Yeah, and that's the important thing.
Yeah,
For grabbing things.
Yeah, for gripping.
And gripping.
molesting.
Yep, that too. I mean, that's an essential part of.
Being a gene
Gene
stealer.
stealers are rapists for sure.
Oh, definitely.
I mean,
we'll
like,
get, we'll get into that.
they do
for
a
sure.
lot of non-consensual penetration.
Well, like, I mean, it's like a form of reproduction, so I guess you could say.
Well, it doesn't make it not rape.
No, that's what I'm saying. It is.
Oh no, 100%. Yeah, we are agreeing.
Yes, no, I'm
this is
like,
a yay
I'm
circle
like,
right
I'm
now.
like saying, I'm encouraging that.
Whoa, you're encouraging
All
me.
right, well that's a little further than we
For
needed to go.
Gene stealers.
Oh,
only they are
Claire
allowed.
fire,
Only
Claire
they are allowed.
So they have a carapace we talked about, but it covers the majority of their back.
Yeah.
It also covers their head,
yeah.
which is just to protect their soft, fleshy, little intelligent brain bits.
Yes, that's how they get those nice little faux hawks.
And yeah, they're like incredibly quick and agile. Like,
They shouldn't be 600 pounds and that quick.
but then they're also strong enough to easily overpower humans.
Yes.
So not only are they huge, they're quick, they're powerful, they're one of the most dangerous things in the galaxy
They're
for
also,
that scale.
and they're also incredibly intelligent.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
They're amazing trackers, and it could be that like it just says that they're really great trackers, but this could be due to the fact that they actually have a very large and disproportionate brain, lending them, and this is what gives them this extraordinary intelligence and cunning. I mean, they're probably not rocket scientists, but they just have a very smartness about them.
Well, would you say though that like because they still have that like synapse thing, right? Where like they still need to be within the range
We're going
of
to talk about that.
But no,
what
quick question or quick answer, no.
Yeah.
No, they don't. So they
have
could
that.
they operate independently.
Yeah.
So
That's part of why they have such a large brain.
Also, they're good at tracking too, just because different biomorphs. Some of them have like these like tendrils on their mouth that like can taste the air and taste scent, and like
I'm sure they can be given different mutations to
Yeah.
see in different.
exactly. And some of them, when
spectrums.
you kill them, their blood is actually like acid, and like they're incredibly dangerous.
Yeah. The mutations is what lends like the very dangerous aspects of them, though, is that they can be so versatile.
Yeah.
As well. So let's talk about their version of the hive mind now. So this is a uniquely gene stealer aspect, and it's called a brood mind. So you were talking before about how they have to be within like a range of the hive mind. So normally you are correct. Like a Tyranid can't function as a Tyranid army cannot function as a real army without this.
Yeah, they're all linked to the hive mind, whatever that is.
And you're just a beast running on instinct if you're not linked to the hive mind.
Yeah.
But the gene stealers have within them a separate interlinking telepathy between other gene stealers. So they create their own version of the hive mind, which is called the brood mind. So they they function without the need for a hive mind.
Yeah, which comes in handy for what they do.
Yeah, I mean, it also that makes them an excellent tracker as well, because they can actually leave the hive mind and still function on their own.
Yeah, follow prey, do whatever.
So all of this together lends them to their purpose of being like a shock trooper. They survive for extremely long periods of time without their army, without their force, or
and I think that's like representative of what they seem to like, their physicality, the way they look, how they operate. They definitely have that more unique approach than everything else in the Tyranid army.
Like Tyranids, right? They look like you can definitely tell they're part of the Tyranid race, but they're definitely different. They lack the same flavor that every other Tyranid has.
Yeah, and like even just to like show how much different they are than like the rest of the Tyranids, even though they are Tyranids. They've been known to go into like hibernative states too for like months and months and months away from the rest of the fleet. Like just maybe they're setting up an ambush and they'll just hibernate for months and months.
Or maybe they were just lost.
Or maybe they're lost or whatever. But yeah, it just shows that even though they're Tyranids, they have their own brood mind, they are different, and their purpose is definitely a lot different than a regular Tyranid organism.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think like it would be unreasonable, like if you were to build your own lore around a Genestealer like force of just Genestealers? Is that like, would that make sense otherwise?
Oh, absolutely.
You could just like have a bunch of Genestealers running around and then like a brood lord or whatever, and then
you don't even need a brood lord.
Yeah, but
why would you not?
If you have a lot of
I think you would just for an HQ.
Well, I mean, you don't really need HQs anymore, right? Like you don't technically have to run detachments,
I suppose.
I mean, if you're doing it just for the story, you could literally just
yeah, but why would you not have a brood
I think
lord?
that'd be cool though. Yeah. Like you could just have a whole bunch of Genestealers and just have that like horde feel, but it still be kind of potent.
Yeah.
Good? Probably not.
Hey, but all things are good. If you spam one thing enough, it will be good.
I think that'd be like fun to play both ways though. Like if you just saw like I have like
it just
150
anything like that just makes it so thematic.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah,
like,
that would fit, and it would like fit the lore too.
All the soup and like the auto include HQs. Those would just get so boring after a while.
But if you just had like literally 150 Genestealers on the other side of the board, and you're just sitting there like,
what do now?
Like you can't kill them all.
And every time you deploy you make everyone holding the next Genestealer hand to the next one. So you create this link of Genestealers, and you kind of basically conga line them up. Not conga line, but what's that one game?
Horde?
Call me over, Ralph for Polo. And then you run it.
Red Rover.
Red Rover. They create a Red Rover line and they just run forward.
What the hell? Please sing again, Mark.
Ralph for Polo.
All right. So, due to their ability to function without their army, this obviously just lends them to being scouts.
Yeah.
They're sent away from the army. Yeah. Go take a look. Go.
Yeah. They find areas of the most resistance, least resistance.
Exactly. They'll just sow discord, right? They'll go into hibernation. Who knows what they're doing? But they're doing it because they can actually function without the army.
Yeah.
So in this function of being scouts, they have been known to infiltrate other species, spaceships, or planets. But spaceships is a pretty common way to get from one system or planet to another when you don't have your own like bioship or anything, right? So,
exactly.
So then you reach new planets with significant biomass. And
that's where the fun begins.
That is where the fun begins. So now that you know a little bit about how Genestealers work and how they're allowed to be autonomous from the hive mind, we're going to talk about once they reach a planet, their Genestealer invasion of the local population begins.
So one Genestealer. There's a Tyranid invasion on the planet, right?
Keep going, man.
And there's swarms of organisms landing, and the defenders are taking off and flying away and retreating. But one Genestealer managed to sneak on the ship, and he hides and he hibernates in the ship. Eventually, the ship reaches another planet. This one Genestealer is now on this planet with no backup at all. And what's the first thing he does?
First thing he does?
Ask for friendship.
Probably.
I'll be on your team.
Please don't kill me. I'm friend.
Raise all 4 hands.
Yeah, I'm human. I'm human. So when a gene stealer reaches a planet, like Mark said, and it's by itself, there's kind of like a different protocol that takes over.
Yeah, it goes from
like hunter and stalker to infiltrator.
Yeah.
To mastermind.
Yeah, from shock trooper to
infiltrator. Super spy.
Super spy.
Yeah. And the first thing we're talking about is how do you make an army? Well, you can make one. You can grow it yourself by making lots of babies. But a gene stealer cannot self-replicate.
Yeah, that means like there is no male and female gene stealers.
Yeah, they can't make more babies by themselves. All creatures that are Tyranid get born out of a hive ship.
Yeah, exactly.
So they can't create more. So how do they create an army? Well, they... I guess I missed something, that any gene stealer that is created from a hive ship is called a pure strain gene stealer. And this is just a distinction we'll make between these gene stealers and the rest of what we talk about. So a pure strain gene stealer comes into contact with an alien species and begins their process of reproduction through an ovipositor and their psychic ability known as the hypnotic gaze. Now, when they put this together, is it called the kiss of death?
Gene stealer's kiss?
Gene stealer's kiss, not the kiss of death.
No, I think that's a Harlequin thing.
Fair enough. Okay. So it's called the gene stealer's kiss. So
let me demonstrate it on James here.
Oh. You're infected now, James.
It's a lot of sucking sounds. Yeah. But yeah, like the gene stealer has a mouth within his mouth, and and it shoots out very alien-like.
It's totally alien.
Yeah, except this is actually his dick. So the gene stealer has a dick in his mouth that shoots out and actually oviposits like genetic material.
Yeah, there's a little tube inside of that tongue that will pierce your skin, and it will implant an embryonic organism within the what's now called the contagi or contagi.
Yeah, we'll just call him the victim, I think.
Wow, that's rude. That's not their name. But yeah, once this organism is within the victim, it develops and begins to alter the host's body, actually changing your DNA and suppressing their will to be subservient to the brood mind.
Yeah. So and what's really creepy about it too is like they literally shoot like a tiny little Tyranid organism
like inside, a parasite.
Yeah, exactly, inside of you, and then it slowly crawls its way to your brain, or however it does it.
Yeah, I don't know what DNA is, but it changes it.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like a living creature is literally like shot inside of you and like is now living inside of that person. It's very fun.
Yeah. Well, the thing that I really like about this is that it's not human at all.
Yeah.
It's very alien, exactly the way 40K should be.
Yeah.
And it's horrifying.
It is horrifying, which is exactly like 40K should be. So once you've been contaminated with this organism, you are now a member of the cult.
Yeah, and you are, like
it's slave to the will.
To the brood mind, yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. So these hosts will go on to reproduce with other members of their society.
And we assume that when this change comes over even your DNA, it kind of puts you into baby making fever.
Yeah, because you specifically want to go out and like build the cult, make new gene stealer babies,
exactly.
make new cultists.
And you know the way to do that is to grow them. So you go make lots of babies.
Yeah. And like I'm sure a lot of the time like they're not following proper rituals of wooing wooing their future
partner. No, like it definitely like
there's a drive.
It suppresses the humanism part of you, and you become an alien. Just bent on reproducing.
Yeah, and there's a drive just to reproduce.
Yeah,
and all of the offspring will in some way be a member of the cult. We'll get more into it depending on the generation, depending on your birth order, but all of them are like a member of the cult, and all of them are affected by the cult to some degree.
Everyone is under the brood mind.
Yeah, everyone who is born. These babies will undoubtedly be absolutely disgusting and repulsive.
Well, I mean, they're part alien, right?
Yeah, and we'll talk about the first generation, and you realize how gross and fucking weird it would be.
Yeah.
Like you'd basically just want to abort them.
Yeah, exactly. Like what we should have done with Christian. But his parents, God bless them. They took pity on his poor soul, on his feeble body, his disgusting.
And now look at what we have.
I was talking to Christian the other day because I just every now and again I'll like randomly listen to a Lorehammer episode, just a part of it. I jump perfectly to the part where we're making fun of Christian, so I messaged him. I'm like, man, we make fun of you a lot. Like, what's the deal with that? Just like, I hope you're not mad or like.
Wait, he has feelings?
Yeah, apparently.
Oh, that's
because
weird.
People will message us and be like, "Fucking Christian!" Like, I've got a couple message where that's all the message is.
They know.
Yeah,
International meme.
Yeah, it's just like, oh my
Turn him into a
goodness.
meme.
Yeah, but
Oh man.
so yeah, the babies are disgusting and repulsive, but like due to the control of the brood mind, like the parents think like, oh, look at this precious thing, and they're like, take care of it.
You have a very strong desire to care and raise
Yeah.
this
That's
child.
not like so different from real life when people have
I
babies.
mean, I've
ugly
seen
ass babies.
Of course, yeah.
And they think their babies are beautiful.
But we know they're not.
If you're the mother
Yes.
and the father was the gene stealer,
Was the Contagi? Because technically,
Yeah,
no gene
yes.
stealer is the father, right? Like, if you are posited with the ovipositor, and you go find some random woman out there and you impregnate her,
yeah.
as soon as you transfer your seed into her, she is now part of the brood.
Okay,
line.
so it's like an STD then.
Yes, exactly.
Gotcha.
I think one of the ways too it is transferred is through blood,
Yeah.
but also
or other fluids.
Yeah.
Apparently.
It's going to be any part that transfers DNA.
I guess one thing too that we can mention real quick, some of these details change depending on what race a gene stealer will affect. We're going to get a lot more into that later in the episode.
Yeah, right now we're going to focus mainly on the fact that we know humans are gene
so we're
stealers.
going to talk a lot about how humans do it, but there will be some differences depending
How
on...
do humans do it?
I've never personally done it.
Oh, okay.
I've seen lots of stories, though.
I have, yes.
Some green text.
Green text.
Green text. Was hard JPEG.
Oh, man. So after they do it and they create a disgusting little baby, that baby is a part of the cult and continues to grow, and they have more babies and they grow the cult. All the while, that first gene stealer is still going around the planet ovipositing other people, and they're going and having filthy gene stealer alien sex. And,
Interspecial. That's what it would be. Not race, it's species.
yeah.
You ever seen that part of Community where they pick up the freaking weird
Have you been watching it recently?
No, it doesn't matter. But then they think he's like a really good guy, and he's in the back of the car and he has his guitar out, and then he's like, "You want to hear another song?" And they're like, "Yeah." And he's like, "This song is called interracial mixing, and don't you do it." And then the next thing is them just booting him out of the car.
Classic.
It's pretty good.
But yeah, so they're going around, they're spreading their seed, they're having children, and they'll have multiple children. But what's interesting is only the firstborn of any host will become a gene stealer hybrid that will actually show signs of the gene stealer taint.
Yeah, so the way it kind of felt to me is like the embryo that if a gene stealer gives you, James, the embryo, and you share it, you share it with a girl, you now no longer have that embryo inside you. It's kind of like a one-off that just gets passed from person to person. And while everyone you've exchanged DNA with is affected a little bit by it, but it lacks the potency of the first time. So then, like, your child, the hybrid, he or she has that ovipositor and the ability to spread more and more and more.
Yeah.
But only your firstborn will ever be the hybrid. Everyone else just becomes a brood.
Yeah.
A member of the brood. A brood brother is what it's called. But
Brood siblings.
Yeah.
Because it's not only male.
It's not. It's male or female.
Yeah, and depending on the race,
They might not
even
even
have.
have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but even though they're not the firstborn, those brood siblings are still like tied to the.
Yes, their will is still suppressed, and they are still a victim of the brood mind.
Yeah.
So they're still part of the army.
Yeah. So let's talk about different generations, because they like to reproduce. That's what Genestealers like to do. They like to reproduce and build a cult. And the very first Genestealer, the one who does that very first oviposit, is called the Patriarch. And we'll basically start from him, and we'll work our way through. There's 5 generations of Genestealers.
And then we just get a nice surprise at the end.
Of more Genestealers.
Yeah, exactly.
They redo it. But basically, yeah. The first is called the Patriarch, and he's the very first one. And he's the oldest and the founder of the Genestealer cult.
It's very oppressive.
Very.
He's not like... He's keeping you down.
Oh, he
doesn't let women earn more than 69 cents
to every dollar.
Yeah, he's a jerk.
He's a big old meanie, that's for sure.
When the Patriarch begins the infection of the contagi, the new DNA imperative takes over and his body begins to change.
So as soon as he begins sowing his seed into the population, he actually opens up like a new DNA door in him, and he physically starts to change.
And also, not only does it unlock something in his DNA, it also has to do with the brood mind is continuing to grow, and the brood mind runs off like psychic powers. Like we're not exactly sure if it is psychic powers, but it pretty much
it's supposed to be like a replication of the hive mind, right?
Yeah.
So the more creatures that you have that are feeding into it, the higher the bigger it resonates, right?
Yeah. So then that Patriarch can actually like feed, not really feed, but he grows stronger off
as
the
it
brood
grows
mind.
Stronger, yeah. It's a direct proportionality. As the brood mind grows, he grows as well.
And he'll actually become like twice the height of a space marine.
Which is
so normally
massive.
they're 6 feet tall, and they'll grow up to be at like 16 feet tall.
Huge.
Big guys.
Absolutely massive.
Their claws will become like as big as swords, and their body continues to grow. The Patriarch will become more powerful the larger the crow. I don't know why I say that. Sometimes I can't read. It'll become more powerful. More powerful.
The larger the cult becomes.
Yeah.
So if it's a really large cult, the Patriarch will be very powerful. It's a smaller cult, it will be less powerful.
Yeah.
As the Patriarch develops increasingly potent psychic power as well, due to the fact that his brain continues to develop in this. So it even talks about how his brain grows so bulbous and large that it looks like it's like squeezing out of his head. And that's another kind of indication of their ability to use psychic power is the size of their brain.
Yeah.
And so if it's powerful enough, they've been known to like completely control someone just through a single glance of their eyes. Yeah. And it's not even like a suggestive will thing. It's more like, I've looked at you and now you're done.
Yeah.
Everything you are, like, I control now.
Yeah. It's pretty fun.
Don't look at him.
Yeah, don't look at don't look at the 16-foot tall monster in front of you in a dark alley.
Giant knife hands.
Sword fingers, okay?
Yeah. Dick mouth that wants to impregnate you.
That's just terrifying.
Right? It's wretched.
It's crazy too that these Patriarchs are known to have lived for hundreds of years, and they're essentially immortal. Like, they can be killed by natural means, like you shoot them in the face.
Unnatural means.
Well,
they can't die from old age.
Oh, is that natural?
That's
I thought
a natural
getting shot
cause.
in the face by a bolter is a natural cause of death in 40K. No?
I mean, normal doesn't mean natural.
Oh, yes, okay. Fair enough. But yeah, like, they're essentially immortal. Like, you have to do something horrendous to the body to kill them.
I wonder what would happen if you significantly destroyed the brood mind while keeping the Patriarch alive. I wonder if he would undergo some sort of change
back
at that point. Maybe not back.
Maybe they should have an experiment. Like, just say, here's a planet. We don't care about them. Let
all right, I'm gonna stop you right there, buddy, and I'm gonna burn you for heresy.
It's just an experiment.
Yeah.
Just Belisarius Cawl can get away with whatever he wants.
That's true. That's true.
Yes. But yeah, if the cult, or if the Patriarch is killed, the whole cult goes into like a disarray for a while. Like, because they're all linked together through that brood mind.
And
so
he's the leader.
Yeah,
like,
so,
he's the one enforcing his purpose and will on everyone.
Yeah. So if he dies, like, the cult members actually feel his death and, like, go into crazy disarray. And, yeah. But eventually another Genestealer, like a pure strain Genestealer, or just a Genestealer, will take over the cult. So the next oldest and biggest one will take over the cult, and now it will be his cult. He'll rebuild that brood mind
and
link
he'll
to
start to
everybody.
grow,
Yeah.
and he'll start to change, and so then he'll enforce his will,
Yeah.
which in effect is the exact same will as the previous patriarch,
to reproduce.
right? To create an army.
Yeah. So that's a patriarch. And basically, you know, once he feels like he's infected enough people, he'll just sit down in a deep dungeon and kind of just like sit there, chill.
I mean, he's so large. Like,
Yeah.
at some point, like, how do you hide and escape notice, right?
Yeah.
Without staying deep down.
Yeah.
Somewhere nice and hidden.
Yeah. So the first generation, let's talk about the first one born from that oviposit situation.
Yeah, they're called, so the hybrids are called Genestealer acolytes, or malignacci.
Fuck.
Malignacci.
Malignacci.
Hey, Malignacci.
And as we use James in our example, only one of the parents has to be infected in order for the infection to take hold.
Nice.
So as long as you were infected, James,
It's like herpes.
exactly, you just spread it around. Oh, gross.
Perfect.
Of all the generations, the first 4, these resemble the original Genestealers most closely.
Yeah. They'll have some traits of their host species, but definitely they're gross looking.
And it makes complete sense. You're like, it's the strongest connection there ever will be to the original. I don't know what to call the ovipositor, the infector,
the dick mouth.
the dick
Yeah,
mouth.
the dick mouth.
Yeah.
I
that
think
works.
it's the scientific term.
I don't think so.
Or in Latin, dicketh mouthus.
Oral peni.
Phallic. I don't know.
But yeah, so of all the generations, they look the most alike, and they're known to have 3 to 4 arms, and they have claws instead of hands. Sometimes they have hands, and they'll even be covered in like that chitin plate that the original Genestealer is covered in. And they have a similar skin tone pigment to the original Genestealer. And just on a quick note, like that skin tone pigment could be anything. Like it's not always like these purple Genestealers, right? Depending on
that's
what
good.
hive fleet that Genestealer originally came from.
Man, I even assume that the mothership could birth a Genestealer with a specific color for a specific purpose.
Yeah, sure.
Right? Like,
yeah.
why not?
Like, we're not sure why it chooses the colors it chooses.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
it's not a camouflage purpose, so who knows? But maybe it's... maybe actually none of this is real, and like...
all of it's made up in a
all
story
of
and
it's
none of
made
it
up
makes sense
and-
and I'm wasting my life doing this. That couldn't possibly be true.
Nah, you're right. Okay, sorry.
Get those heretical thoughts out of your mind.
But yeah, they have like this skin tone. So like there could be like this green hued, hunched over humanoid with 4 arms and
it's an
claws.
abomination.
Yeah, and that's why like we were talking earlier about Christian and how he's gross. Like the parents are they naturally just want to love him, even though it's like this weird.
And everyone
fucking
else
gross-
knows.
Everyone else sees it. It's like,
Get
oh
rid
my
of it.
god, fuck Christian.
Well, like even when you look at the models for some of these,
I thought you were going to say, even when you look at Christian, you know.
well, obviously, but when you look at the models, like I think you get a really good. They did a good job of making that come through because they all
Yeah.
look just horrific.
Yeah, and that's
And they do a good job of it.
yeah.
Oh,
It-
this is like one of my favorite model lines are these guys.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
you can
they
see
look
the
fantastic.
progression. They actually have models for the first generation and all the way through to the last. So you can actually see how they develop over the course of their reproduction. And
And we'll talk about what that looks like.
yeah. Yeah, so that's the first one. They're basically like more Genestealer than they are of the host species.
So when these Malignacci, or these Genestealer hybrid acolytes, they actually have an ovipositor.
They do.
And when they now go and let's pick James again. They find James in a dark alley. James is working his corner, trying to turn a trick or two. And he doesn't know that he's calling over an acolyte hybrid of the Genestealer Cultist variety.
I've never worked with a dick mouth like that before, but I'll fucking get it done.
Bam! All of a sudden, James is infected again. No, this is a new James. This is a different.
There's
James.
many. There are many James.
And so now this guy goes and infects someone, and then that guy is taken over by the embryo, and their DNA changes. They're part of the cult, and they want to go make babies.
Yeah.
So then that person goes and makes a baby.
Yeah, and then they go and they make more first generation babies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, no, that is the second generation.
Would it be
An oviposit from the hybrid is a second generation.
Would it be?
Yes.
Did it say that?
Yes.
Okay. Then I lied.
That's okay. So that is a second generation because it's 2 generations away from the first. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because their oviposit isn't that strong.
Yeah,
Isn't
yeah.
that strong.
Yeah.
So then that person has a baby, and they're also called acolytes, but they are less like the Megalignaci than... No, they're less like Genestealers than the first generation.
Yeah.
So people get progressively more human looking as the generations go on, even though they are just as alien in their mind.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the important thing to realize. They're all aliens.
Yeah. So the second generation will have 3 arms, and one of which will end in a Genestealer.
And then the other ones will just look human.
Yeah, exactly. But all the acolytes, their posture will begin to closely resemble their host. And their skin tone more muted, like they just slowly turn more to their host species.
And that'll just continue throughout the generations.
Yeah.
So then these guys, these second generation acolytes, they have an ovipositor.
Yeah.
And they go infect someone now.
Perfect.
And then that James has a baby.
Yeah. Also, too.
You like that, Jordan?
Yeah. There's a lot of me on this planet.
Yeah.
And none of them are having good luck.
Also, too, they don't have they can do 2 ways of creating more generations. Like they can do the natural host way of reproduction as well as this oviposit. So technically, they could do 2 types of. Yeah, you could oviposit and then get a next generation, or you could have natural means of reproduction and get another one.
Yeah. I mean, we'll talk about that right in this generation. Is the fact that so in the 3rd generation. These guys are called neophytes now.
Yeah.
And they will have 2 to 3 arms. So you'll see they've dropped that 4th arm completely, and sometimes they even drop the 3rd arm. And even out of these 2 to 3, only one of them might end in a claw.
Yeah.
So when you look at it like the human race as a whole, it's completely possible for a regular human to have 3 arms.
Pardon me?
They're mutant. In 40K.
Oh, okay.
Right? Like there's mutants,
Sure.
right? And they're still human,
Yeah.
but they have an
Are
extra
they-
arm.
Are the mutants human?
But
Are they, though?
like we had the entire subhuman, abhuman episode where we talked about all the different kinds of mutations that exist that are still considered, part of the Imperium. So if you were to see this guy walking around, sure, he has a 3rd arm, but it's not like you've never heard about that, depending on where you are. Right? If you're in a hive city or a hive world,
I don't think that they're just walking down the street.
I think they're hunted if they have a 3rd arm. I don't think you can just walk around freely with a 3rd arm.
I feel like
Abhumans
that's-
are highly restricted.
I don't think you can just walk down like Imperium Boulevard with your 3rd arm.
Yeah. Yeah, like I think that's a punishable crime. Yes, crime is the right word. The crime of being born with a 3rd arm.
I'm trying to recall exactly where it stood in our abhuman episode. It was just so long ago. Okay. So like Ogrins are accepted.
There's only a few sanctioned abhumans, and we know what all of them are.
So what are they?
I don't personally know, but like ratlings, ogrins.
But look at the mutation between a ratling versus a guy with an extra arm.
One just looks like a midget with hairy feet,
Yeah.
and one is a fucking mutant with a 3rd arm.
So you can
that
hide
3rd
that.
arm mutant is
You
not.
just tie the arm up.
No, it's not an acceptable thing. You can't just walk around with a 3rd arm and expect like.
From everything we know about the Imperium, does that even just feel right that
No.
they would be able to like, oh yeah, we're warm and accepting of all types of people.
So you burn the mutant. What do you do to you burn the heretic? What do you do to the mutant again?
We welcome them to our home because this is we're progressive Imperium.
Yeah, no, I think actually you kill the mutant.
Oh, okay, that works too.
Either or, right?
I think kill the mutant sounds so much more logical.
Burn the heretic, kill the mutant, purge the Xeno. What are those three? There's
purging, there's burning.
Fuck. No, there's like an official quote of what you need to do to each one.
Oh.
Like
it's one of those. Those are good things to do. Torture, mutilate. I mean, they're already mutilated.
All ends in killing, though.
All right, so how many recognized abhumans did you think there were?
I think there's like 7 or something.
73.
Recognized, but are they
Neandors, Navigators?
No, but are they sanctioned?
Felinids, Beastmen. Come on, a third arm versus a Beastman? Come on.
What is a Beastman, though?
It's literally a Minotaur.
It's pretty cool.
Come on.
They're not just...
Or a fawn.
Hey, I'm not judging the kind of animal you're supposed to have sex with.
Walking around in broad daylight, going into shops. Oh, hi, Jim. How's it going? How's your daughter? By the way, look at my goat feet. That's not fucking happening. Sure, they might be sanctioned, but they are not welcome. You look at mutants with disgust.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah, they're probably segregated.
Sure,
absolutely,
of course, but that doesn't mean they're hunted and killed on sight all the time.
But if they are, I don't think there's any repercussion if you kill a mutant.
Well, I mean, if you kill anyone in 40k, as long as they're not important, does it really matter?
That depends. Depends on the planet.
Depends on the planet, just like these guys.
No,
which planet is more open and accepting than others?
None in 40k.
Oh,
no, I refuse to believe that you can just walk around with a third arm, unless everyone else also has third arms.
But all of these people are members of society. Like, all of these Genestealer cultists function in society.
Third generations?
Yes.
I think they're doing jobs at...
Does it matter? They're still members of society earning a paycheck.
I don't know about that. I think they're deep down in the wells, digging holes and
mining, obviously.
But
all of them are miners.
Wouldn't you notice, though, if, like, Jeremy comes to work after the weekend and has a third arm?
You wouldn't grow one. You'd be born with one.
Wow, this generation sure does have a lot of third arms. Fucking weird.
Something in the water.
Something in the water.
We need to move away from this uranium plant. I think we need to, like...
Maybe we shouldn't dump that sludge into our well.
But it washed it away. It washed the sludge away. Yeah. No, it could happen, but I think you're definitely still hiding your arm. I don't think you're just waving it around freely.
But it's so useful. It's a third.
What would you need a third arm for?
3 pistols.
That's not what I was going to say.
Oh.
That you could hold 3 penises.
Why?
Let's talk about the 4th. Oh, no. Sorry. We're still on 3rd generation neophytes. So this is where the firstborns start potentially losing their ability to have the ovipositor.
Yeah, and then they just have to reproduce through natural means.
Yes, they infect others of their species through blood, right? And these guys are called drones or neuters. But Mark and I are like joking, like, who calls them that?
Yeah.
Like, who is like, there's another drone going by. Look at Jim the neuter.
Let's go kill him because he's
Why
got
is
a
it always
fucking third arm.
Jim, not James. Very different.
Isn't Jim...
It's the exact same.
Well, minus a couple letters that are different in the
here
way
or
it's
there.
pronounced, but...
Yeah, it's the same meaning. I totally meant him.
Yeah. This is my planet, and it's fucked.
It's
It's
the planet
done.
of Jim.
And it's done.
Alright,
Bunch of 3-armed freaks running around.
well, then obviously it's acceptable.
Well, it is now. There's so many of them.
They can't put us down. Yeah. Let's talk about what happens when the neophytes, so the 3rd generation, have babies.
They become the 4th generation.
Excellent.
I did math. We had 3 generations before. The next generation...
You took the square root of it, multiplied it by pi.
Counted the arms. Boom, 4th generation.
Done. And these guys are also called neophytes, but they're also called primaci. Primaci. This generation...
I think it'd be Primaci.
Primaci?
Yeah.
A lot of times in the Latin language, the C is a sharp.
In Italian, it's a ch. In Latin, it'd be a hard C sound.
Primaci.
Yeah.
Interesting.
English?
Princeps is princeps.
No.
I didn't know that.
That's-
so recently. It's definitely princeps. It's what they would call emperors of Rome.
That's definitely not how anyone has ever said it.
It's literally the language that was created said princeps.
Which language is that?
Latin.
That's not a real language.
It's a real dead language.
Sounds made
It's
up.
dead.
Do you know anyone who speaks it?
Well,
No,
It's
it's
not as
dead.
real as
That's-
Gothic, obviously, but like,
yeah, High Gothic.
yeah, we all speak High Gothic, obviously, but
So the fourth generation, or the Primaries, are virtually indistinguishable from the host species.
Minus the forearms. Just kidding.
they just have a little nubbin. No, it's just like
Oh, it's like people who have the tail at the end of their little
disgusting
spine.
freaks.
it's just a little.
Hunt them down. Pull everyone's pants down.
If you got his tail, you are not welcome in this society. Hunt him down.
So these guys can seamlessly blend into society, and
Yeah.
these are the ones who are taking like big social roles. Like if you want one of your members of the cult to run for president, it's these guys who are doing it.
include the 3-armed people into our society.
They're people too. They deserve a living wage.
And so we can find them and kill them. The Primaries are known to exhibit a couple unique traits, such as becoming the Magus and the Primus, as well as hybrid metamorphs. So those are three things: Magus, Primus, and hybrid metamorphs that we will chat about a little bit.
Are we not going to mention the
elephant
brand in the room? My brother just walked into the room. You may recall him some.
Close studio sign up.
You see the on-air recording light.
Hi, how are you doing, Brad? How was your day?
Well, thank you for asking.
Did you go to work today?
Yeah, every day.
Did you make all the money?
I came to see the cat. New cat in the house.
There's a new cat in the house, yes.
That's why I'm here.
It's not in this room. I'll tell you that right now.
This is where I'm starting my search.
Okay, well, it's not here.
Okay.
So we still on for tonight then?
What do you mean tonight?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Living together, he means. So we're still living together tonight?
You're not changing the locks or anything, are you? Brant? Brant?
He did not answer.
He didn't. So I can stay over tonight, right, Mark?
Well, no, there's no room.
Jordan?
Yeah, sure.
James?
I have a place in the backyard.
I got a spot. Morgan can sleep on the couch, and you can sleep with me if you like.
That's a good host. Oh my
That
god.
is. Oh my
getting
goodness, he is a
flashbacks of-
host.
No, I'm getting flashbacks of it when he's saying, "Oh yeah, I always picture you, Jared."
He's about to make his dream come true.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
If you want, Morgan could just like leave, and you could just stay forever.
Let's turn this into a long.
I don't think you would
long-term
find.
thing.
I don't think you would find the same benefits of the relationship that you seem to currently experience.
You two could braid your beards together, like not side by side, but together.
them
Yes.
Yeah.
Cheek to cheek. Braid them together.
Gross.
You guys are like, you don't know what you're doing to me right now.
Pushing all his buttons.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Is it hot in here? Or is it just me?
It's
Very hot.
really hot in here, actually. So I mentioned how.
Wait, sorry. Now, when you say hot,
all of the above.
I personally just meant
Please let me
temperature.
get back to the podcast. I can't. Okay, so the fourth generation.
Can we go back and read those three things again?
Yeah,
that
that's
they
what I'm
can
going to talk
become?
about. Because
Oh.
yeah, the fourth generation. The reason that they are unique is because they can become three different things other than regular neophytes. They can become Magus, Primus, and hybrid metamorphs.
Yeah.
So we will describe what each of those is
In another episode.
soon in another episode. But before we do that, let's talk about what happens when the Primaries have babies. So this would be the fifth generation now of Genestealer cultists.
And this is where the fun begins.
This is where the fun, depending on your definition of the word, begins.
The fifth generation that is born are born full gene stealers.
Oh my god.
Yeah, full, indistinguishable from the regular pure strain gene stealers.
It's so cool.
Yeah, and there's reasons for this, but the big reason
Well,
is
at
because
that
it's
point,
cool.
at
It's
that
fucking
point,
cool.
the cult is large enough to take over.
Yeah, we're talking about like 100 years of human.
I mean, hey, yeah,
could
like
be less.
a
But,
generation of a human is anywhere from what, like 15 to 30
yeah, but
years?
like so.
And that's
really,
5 of those.
really though, like as soon as they become like mating ready, they're going out and reproducing. So like 13 years old, they're going out and raping a bunch of people with their tiny baby dick.
Yeah.
One
It is
pubic
crazy.
hair.
It is crazy to think about.
Yeah. So, but it still is anywhere from so 5 times 13, carry the 4, anywhere between 5 times. Somebody jump in here.
65.
65 to 100 years. You know,
Yeah.
it's a long time, and this whole while all the gene stealers are just poking other people.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
having more
Because
babies.
they're
and-
also just creating more of themselves. It's not necessarily always following this linear progression.
Yeah.
There's 5th generations being made at the same time as 1st generations eventually, right?
Yeah. Exactly. It's fun.
Crazy.
It's a fun time.
Okay, so that is like the general progress of what happens during the life of a gene stealer cultist.
Yeah, and then that 5th generation, he is back to being a full gene stealer with an oviposit. He'll go impregnate more people, and then they birth more first generation.
Yeah, it's just
and they go through that whole
exponential
cycle.
growth.
Yeah, so it's wild. But every now and again, there's weird things that happen.
Genetics is not a perfect science.
No, and sometimes you get different types. You can get aberrants. You can get Magus. You could get Primus. You could get metamorphs, and all these things happen for a certain reason or an unknown reason.
Yeah.
But let's talk about aberrants first.
So these guys are typically created during the 1st and 2nd generation, although we couldn't find any reason that this mutation couldn't potentially happen at any time.
It does. It could happen. Yeah. At any time,
like,
but it's most common at the first.
It does specifically say, like, in the 1st generation that this, like, aberrants can happen here, but there's no reason why it can't happen anytime. Because all this is just like a mishap during, like, the conception. Like, something happened. I mean, I think in the book, in the codex, they listed, like, maybe there was a warp storm, changed how DNA reacted to each other. Maybe there was the gene stealer was interrupted while they were ovipositing into their contagi, right? So, and there
maybe even the host
innumerable
species
reasons.
just had bad genes in the first place.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you get a gene stealer infecting Christian, bad genes.
You're gonna have an aberrant.
You're getting an aberrant 9 times out of 10.
100%.
It's science.
It is science. And the Magus, who we're going to talk about, we're just going to say right here, it says not even the Magus knows why it happens. And that will come back to play later when we
The
talk about
Primarch?
No, Magus, not Magnus.
Magus.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Not
Magus.
Magus.
Oh, okay.
Even they don't know why it happens. Aberrants are of low intelligence, but very high strength. They're dumb brutes.
Yeah.
Really what they are. And they possess 3 arms, and they are obviously alien to the host species. Like, these guys are misshapen.
Yeah. They even look weird,
grotesque.
like, compared to a gene stealer.
Yeah,
like,
no,
they don't look
exactly.
like a gene... They don't look like a gene
They
stealer.
kind
or
of...
host.
They kind of have like a Nurgle flair to them with how bulbous and fleshy they are.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not Nurgle contagion. It's just
yeah.
that's-
Maybe it is.
Think.
They said they didn't know
You
why
know
it
what? We
happens.
don't know.
Maybe Papa Nurgle's sticking his little dick in there.
Fuck. Think 300. There's that one like
Ephialtes.
Yeah. Like that.
I didn't just watch it.
True
Oh
fact.
my god.
He existed.
Yep, and that's how he looked too.
Exactly.
There was a sculpture
His
of
hand
him.
was 7 feet long.
Oh my goodness.
When an aberrant is born, so again, like the parent, because it's a member of the cult, the parent's like, oh my gosh, my child is adorable and I love it, even though everyone else is like, even this is disgusting to me. They will find their way to the depths of the lair that the patriarch resides for 2 reasons. One, they have a strong connection to a Primus or a Magus, and they seek to protect it. Now, this definitely is a result of the brood mind.
Yeah.
So it's a psychic link, a telepathic link that they have to it.
Yeah.
Another reason that they're kind of forced to go underground is that if they remain close to society, they risk alerting the planet to the cult's infestation.
Yeah.
So it's like, while you might be able to slide a 1st generation or a 2nd generation or whatever, there's no way you'd be able to hide
This weird thing.
An aberrant. Yeah.
On the planet that's inclusive of 3 armed people.
Even on that one,
They still don't like these abs.
No.
Still don't like these. And then, when they're with their Magus or their Primus, that person will find uses and roles for these
Janitor.
aberrants. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just really
Chamber pot.
they're good protection. They're nice. They're good meat shields to have around you, but really you just need to keep them busy until it's time to use them as like a dog of war.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good time. They're so loved. They're treated so well.
I don't think you understand the word love.
Hey, in the brood mind, all are welcome, no matter how deformed.
Come worship the four-armed emperor.
You have 3 arms. Come on in. You're
Wait,
a genetic
what if I have
freak.
5 arms?
Well, okay. Let's not get carried away. Well, if you're an abhor, an
Aberrant have 3.
Aberrant?
What if your host species already has 4 arms?
Let's talk about that.
So let's talk about the Magus next.
So this is a potential offspring of the 4th generation.
Yeah. And what is wild about it is these happen when a psyker actually gets infected. And that's the only way these guys happen.
Yeah, so these ones, like, obviously Magus, they're magically inclined.
Yeah.
But Mark's right, the condition has to be met that one of the Contag has to be a psyker.
Yeah. And it probably doesn't even have to be like a high-level psyker. Just has to have that psychic access to the warp. Yeah.
Most cults will only have one that takes this role. I think my guess is that most likely it's because you need a sufficiently, you want a powerful Magus, right? So the more powerful of a psyker you have, the more powerful of a Magus you would have.
Not necessarily, but sure.
You have to fight to the death.
Maybe.
There can only be one.
But there actually can be many Maguses. And we were thinking, especially on races that are predominantly psychic.
Yeah.
Right? If all of the species...
Like Eldar. They're all psychers.
If all of them are psychic and they're infected with these guys, all of them will technically be Maguses, but there will still be some that take the role of Magus.
Yeah.
Right?
Because the role of Magnus is to be the...
Please don't say Magnus.
to be the patriarchs will manifest. I tried to actually say Primarchs there, but my brain got twisted because I tried to really just fuck with you, Eric. But
Magnus is the Primarch.
The Primarchs will manifest.
Yes, and uses his psychic power to help the Thousand Suns.
The cult of the Thousand Suns, yes.
The cult.
Leave right now. Get out.
He's the mastermind behind the expansive cult throughout the planet and beyond. Basically, he's the patriarch's right-hand man. He will go out and negotiate trade deals with other people. And
the patriarch can't leave the lair. He's 16 feet tall at this point.
And an alien.
Right, and an alien. He's an alien.
Where this guy is indistinguishable from the host race, and he has these psychic powers that he's able to manipulate people into doing what he wants.
Yeah, so if there's a politician who's trying, getting in way of you, setting up a new bill that says 3 armed mutants are no longer allowed to be...
Delivering rage.
They're no longer allowed to be hunted, and this politician is blocking you. This is the guy that goes to his office and is like, "You are now under my power." Right? And now you're under his power. It's as easy as that.
And then he brings in a Genestealer and
boop, little kiss.
Little kiss.
Well, okay. Does it matter what generation though? Because if he's indistinguishable from, does that mean he has to be a specific? Did you already say
4th.
that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Only 4th generations are these guys.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But
I pay attention when you guys speak.
You have the notes in front of you.
I know. I was just,
What do you have?
Nope.
Oh, stop looking at porn. Jeez.
Always porn. Always porn.
God.
It's only corpse porn.
I'm starting to think. Whoa. You are a true devotee of the Emperor. You even take your devotion until you're porn. You said corpse, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yes. Perfect.
Oh my god. That got dark real fast.
So another genetic deviation
It's me, obviously.
No, you're a deviant. There's a difference.
is the Primus. And these are created during the either 3rd or 4th generation. Not always. Not every 3rd or 4th becomes one of these. There are 2 factors, one of which has to be met in order for one of these to be born.
Yeah. So the first one is that the cult reaches critical mass. So it gets so large that it absolutely has to take over a world in order to continue to expand and maybe even go off planet at this point.
Yeah.
So then, like, if you want to do world conquest, you need a military leader. So out of necessity, the Primus is born.
Yeah.
And then another reason that they're born is just when a hive fleet kind of encroaches on the brood mind, a Primus is born as well.
Yeah. And like Eric said, the purpose of the Primus is to lead the cult in war. And like he's a tactical genius. He's even more clever than Creed himself. Eric's looking at me with a blank look. Does he get the meme reference? Creed. He doesn't get it.
Is it from the movie that just came out?
What? No. Okay, Eric.
There's a movie that just came out.
Some people are laughing. Some people are cringing, and Eric's just confused.
I want to laugh.
Just Google right now, Creed.
I'm going to get Creed Bratton from The Office.
Tactical genius.
Apollo.
Basically, Creed, once upon a time, had a rule called tactical genius, and he could infiltrate any
Apollo
unit.
Creed. He was killed by the Russian.
He was killed by, but he would people would infiltrate Warhound Titans.
How come I'm just getting Creed lyrics?
Fuck
Songs and albums.
Can you take me higher?
Oh my god. You getting anything good
Yeah,
yet?
there's lots of comics, but I think it's an inside joke, and I'm not.
It's not an inside joke. Eric.
It definitely is.
Okay. Moving on. Basically, yeah, he leads the cult in war. Like the Primaries leads the cult in war.
The Primus.
God, Primus. Yeah, sorry.
The Primaris and Magnus.
I thought it was a cult of
the Thousand Sons and
Sorry. It's all
and
Your head
Ultramar.
out of your ass. So even though this guy is born in the later generations, third or fourth, and he should be indistinguishable from the host,
Yeah.
he's actually larger than the host species and has 3 arms.
Yeah.
So normally fourth generation, only 2 arms.
Yeah.
But this guy actually has 3.
Yeah, and I'm sure he has like I think on his model he has
There's a little bit of chitin on the forearms.
Chitin.
A little bit of shitting on the floor.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's his role. He's a war leader.
Yes. Let's talk about these are probably one of my favorite things of everything that we've talked about so far. Hybrid metamorphs.
These are Primaris Marines led by Magnus the Red.
Oh my God, can you mute his mic or something? So these are hybrids that are born when the shadow of the hive mind touches an infected planet. So kind of like how when a Primus is born, from that condition, at the same time, these things will start being born.
Yeah.
And when they are born, they're actually viewed as like living saints.
Yeah.
Of like the cult views them as like manifestations of like a divine will.
Yeah.
Right? And their mutations that they have, and they have crazy mutations, they're seen as blessings.
Yeah. And like their crazy mutations aren't just Genestealer related. They are more Tyranid organisms as a whole.
And that's kind of a whisper of the fact that the hive mind is closer.
Yeah. Well, normally they're affected by the brood mind. Now they're affected by the hive mind. They're trading like, okay, I need you to grow this. Read off all these things that it can be. James, I want you to read it, actually.
He doesn't know how to read.
Point number 2.
Like, you mean B?
No.
Where am I?
Okay, so there's words on the
It's
page.
11.
I'm looking at it and I see.
So under generations,
Yeah.
then go to section 11.
This is why he's been quiet the whole
I
time.
know, he doesn't know how
God.
to read.
He's been
It's
busy
hard.
looking at that corpse porn.
Hybrid
Guys,
metamorphs.
it's like, I know it's not moving, but it's highly like, it's like.
Real?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
it's real. That's it.
Yeah. I don't know where you guys are.
Eric,
I'm
you can
there.
go for
Am
it.
I here?
Yeah, that's the one.
Number 2?
Yeah,
Number
number
two.
2.
Their bodies echo not only Genestealer, but also Tyranid organisms as a whole, often having more chitin, tendrils, spikes, whips, bioswords, crab claws, and barbed penises. That sounds not fun. I don't
A
want that
couple of
last
those
one.
things I don't think are noted Tyranid mutations.
They are. I googled it. I googled
I found
Tyranid barb
pictures.
penis.
If I found pictures,
Is that
it's real.
actually in a codex somewhere?
Not the barb penis part.
All right.
The whips.
It's
What about crab
hooked
claws?
penises? Yeah. Like if you look at the models, they have like these crab claws. Like Carnifexes have crushing claws that are like crab claws.
The Zoidbergs looking thing.
Yeah.
These metamorphs are the most vicious of the cultists, and they use the raw aggression of the Tyrannid species. Just another thing that kind of differentiates them and their growth pattern from the regular cultist growth.
But they're not really even like Genestealers as much at this point. They're more like straight up Tyrannids.
Yeah.
So,
They will still take the form of the
basic
host body and even of the Genestealer.
Yeah,
itself.
they look so. If they're born in the 4th generation, like they revert back to looking more like the 1st generation.
Yeah, but you're right. Like some of them have like full on like spiked foreheads of chitin and like a bunch of these crazy Tyrannid biomorphs as opposed to Genestealer biomorphs for sure.
And that shows you the infestation.
They
of the
are
hive mind.
wild. So if ever you see one, pay it a living wage.
Okay,
That's all I'm saying.
That's a weird
yes,
throwback.
not 69 cents on the dollar.
No,
It's not fair.
it's not fair.
Oh, we need to change the legislation.
Oh no! Wait, that was the
Let's send
patriarch
Magus.
does that though.
Oh, the patriarch. Fuck.
There's so many mixed metaphors here. I'm so confused.
And then the very last kind of aspect of the Genestealer cultists we're going to talk about are familiars.
Yeah, they're very strange and
Personally, I don't think they fit.
yeah, we
I'm
can
going to say that right now.
sure. Let's read what it is, and then
Sure.
we can kind of have a little discussion
Yeah.
about them.
So a familiar is a psychic spawn of a patriarch or magus. When the cult gets large enough, the brood mind, like the shadow that the brood mind creates, grows and gets larger and larger. And eventually, when there's enough psychic power in it, it coalesces into a physical being, and a familiar just appears out of nowhere.
It's crazy.
It's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird that this exists, and like this familiar like becomes an extension of the Primarch or the Magus that caused it to come into being.
Yeah.
Now, as far as I'm aware, when they cause it to do that, it's not
unintentional.
It's not. Yeah, it's not a conscious thing. It's just if enough psychic energy gathers, a familiar will be born.
Yeah.
I agree. I don't really like this. I can see it's kind of cool. Okay, now the Tyranids are kind of mixing with things that have psychic ability, and that's why you get the Magus. But like, I don't like the idea is the Tyranids don't have that ability, and it's
The reason why like I don't like it is that it's directly tied to the strength of the brood mind. And the brood mind is a smaller version of the hive mind. And if this happens with a brood mind,
Well, that's true.
why does it not happen in a hive mind, which is infinitely more powerful than a brood mind? And it's the exact same thing.
I just don't like mixing Tyranids into the warp as much.
Why? Because you're scared?
Yeah, dude,
I mean,
they're already scary enough.
Yeah,
they
that's
don't need any more.
Yeah. I got one reason why this might happen. So the brood mind, if it gets big enough, psychers on other planets or on that planet might sense the brood mind. Because there are psychers who can sense the hive mind.
Yep.
So they might sense the brood mind. And that would not be beneficial for the cult, because then the cult would get discovered and eliminated. So if it takes all this energy and like creates this little being, then like there's no more energy around, and psychers might not be able to detect it. So it kind of just like consolidates all this like the shadow and the warp into this thing, and then psychers are like, oh, okay, there was nothing there to worry about.
My question is then, do you think, because the brood mind needs to be powerful enough to keep sway over the cult,
Yeah.
right? And if this happens, does it take away from the brood mind?
Yeah, like the energy.
So then, even though he needs a large brood mind, now it's lessened, and so now is it harder to control his brood because
no,
of that?
the brood naturally want to do what the brood naturally wants to do. Like, it's genetically built into them to do certain things. The control of brood mind, in my mind, is not to literally control the every day-to-day actions of the cult members. It's more if there's a situation like the cultists naturally want to infect and reproduce and grow the cult. To me, the brood mind is more like overriding that to put them in harm's way. Like, so they're running up in a battle against a fortress wall, right? You know, they see all their cultist members around them start to die. They start to get afraid. They start to fall back, right? The brood mind at that point would kick in and tell them, it would spur them forward. It's not, to me, in my mind, that the brood mind is literally controlling everybody. Okay, now this guy's moving his right arm up and this, you know, it's not like that.
Sure. Even taking your example, though,
Yeah.
you still need a will and a way to exert that will, the powerful will over them. But if you're draining the power of the brood mind into this familiar, you're losing that ability.
Yeah, but the thing is, like if you're doing that all-out war, like you're already discovered. I don't know if one of these familiars would be born. This is all just hypothetical,
of course.
Because my whole thing is, it keeps the cult secret by taking this psychic presence and condensing it. But once the cult is out in the open, you don't need to condense it. So maybe these familiars aren't born. You would still then have a big brood mind to be able to push your cultists forward. But until that point, you want to keep yourself hidden. So you try to. I'm trying to rationalize something that I agree with you, and I don't think it fits.
Like, that's probably going to be the better explanation of it. Personally, I still think we could have done without familiars.
Yes, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I'm just playing.
They don't. I don't like them. I don't like warp. Because they always make the Tyranids have this weird relationship with the warp.
Yeah,
and it's like a warp of their own.
Yeah. It's almost or like pushes away sometimes.
Yeah,
an anti-warp.
And it just. For them to have now, they're summoning things through the warp. It's like
like
I don't like that.
Beings. Yeah, it definitely
seems weird.
Strange.
It definitely. It's like it doesn't fit with the rest of the Tyranid theme.
Yeah. For all we know, there might have been some story, some book out there written on this that kind of clarifies it more. So if we're completely wrong about this and you've read something, let us know. Because as of right now, our opinion is it shouldn't be a thing necessarily. Yeah.
Reading through the 7th edition codex, I even had I couldn't find familiar in it to read about other than in the data sheets of the Patriarch and the Primus.
Yeah.
It was or the Magus, sorry. Yeah. It was nowhere else there. So I couldn't even do reading from the codex on this.
Yeah. So send us a message if you have a different opinion of why these are a thing. Do you think they should be a thing? I don't know.
Yeah. I guess one more thing about familiars before we move on is that since they are so small and nimble, they're used as very good spies because they can just report back to their master through their telepathic bond.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the function they serve is to just always stay with the master. They act as like an additional limb, just part of the body, but they're also used to go do other things.
And they're fanatically loyal. So if somebody's shooting at their master, they intercept bullets with their face.
Yeah.
Nice.
Not going to do much to a bolt round, but that's fine.
It'll be fun.
Yeah. It will be fun.
So that kind of covers all the different generations and all the different
xenoforms.
Sure, that's an okay word. So let's talk about the hierarchy of the cult. I don't want to get into this.
Well, obviously, at the very top,
as always should
be and is natural.
Mm-hmm. Natural,
you have the patriarchy.
And God-given even.
Divine right.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What is Deus Reglio or
Who's
something?
I don't know. Latin's not a real language. Don't pretend.
I just make up words. But the patriarch obviously controls the cult.
Yeah.
He is the first, he's the foremost, he's the biggest, he's the strongest, he has the largest will, the biggest body.
The largest ovipositor
you've ever seen.
So big. You would like it.
James.
You specifically, James.
Oh, I would. I'm picturing it right now.
Gross.
Eric's face on a patriarch's body.
I see, those faces where you cut it out from paper and just cut out the eyes and the string around.
You always try to put one of those on your wife. No, don't look at the image, just put it on.
And right below the patriarch, we have the Magus.
Yeah.
So obviously this guy doesn't come out too much later, but when he does, he instantly assumes the role as prophet of the patriarch. I am the one who will speak the word of the patriarch to the masses, and I'll share our religion with everyone. Right?
And that's a good word that you use too, speak, because patriarchs can't.
They're gene stealers.
Yeah, just to clarify, like they
Right,
are
yeah.
these alien creatures, and
Yeah.
like even if somehow it was okay on a planet of 3-armed people for this 16-foot tall thing to go negotiate, it still can't speak.
Yeah, it can't.
So the Magnus, yeah.
Magus. How many more times?
Well, in our notes, there's at least Magnus.
This next one bugs
reference.
me, and you'll find out why.
Primus?
Yes, that bugs me because
Why?
that's it means first, and it's it's not first.
I
It
see.
is third.
So it is first when it comes to military endeavors.
But
So
it's not first.
I
though.
But yeah,
It is. It should be like
it leads the Genestealer Cultists in their wars and their battles.
because there's two types of the cult. There's a cult when it's being sneaky, and then the cult when it has revealed itself.
Yeah, so the Magus is going to take control of everything when they're being sneaky and just trying to grow into society. And then when they determine it's time for war to take over the planet,
Yeah.
Primus steps up, does his thing.
is he above the patriarch though?
No, he'll never be.
Well,
above the
then
fish.
he's not.
Now he's
first.
third tier. Fuck. But nothing can be above the patriarchy.
Well, that's true. Actually, I'm okay with it now.
Yeah.
it makes
Secondary
sense.
Primus?
Secunda?
Secunda.
Harris Secunda.
But Primus, Secunda.
Primaris.
Clarify that right
Oh,
now.
yes.
One more time, you said Primaris.
These are all just words that people throw around.
Yeah. And everything else that we've listed, all the 4 generation, the aberrants, the metamorphs, they all are technically the same rank after that. They perform different functions and they have different roles, but there's not really like...
Yeah, it's not like they
don't have
look-
sergeants and
Yeah.
lieutenants and captains and
Yeah.
second lieutenants.
Exactly.
It's more just like they're a cult army.
Yeah.
They're going to win through like infiltration, which is an awesome aspect of Genestealer Cultists, by the way.
Yeah, like it's so cool
It's
the way
so
they do.
cool.
Like they're sneaking around. You don't know if they're there. Like you can't trust anybody with 3 arms.
Well,
Always should.
yeah, I was going to say, you
Regardless.
probably shouldn't ever trust
And
them.
even, I'll just throw this out there, 3 legs as well. Don't trust them.
You know what? Good call.
Just to be safe.
Yeah, it wasn't covered explicitly in our episode today, but we should let's list other things that you shouldn't trust.
Physical
with
traits
3
that make you not.
No, I can't.
trustworthy.
I might drop something bad
you
and
have
really
3
inappropriate.
eyes-
Never trust.
Never trust people with 3 eyes. I'm gonna say that right now. If they have a third eye that opens sideways in the middle of their forehead, you should probably shoot it with a silver arrow and then burn the body and salt the bones.
Skin colors, Eric. Who should you trust?
If they have 3 different skin colors,
Yeah, like if they're purple skinned.
well, I don't know. Maybe the sun radiates their skin. That's not a 3 thing. We're talking about 3 things. If someone has 3 nipples, you do not trust them. I cannot
I stand
stress
behind
enough.
this.
When you go into the corner and
Awfully
James is working his
exclusionary of
tricks,
you.
and
Yeah.
he's got his
Working his trick.
and he's got his see-through shirt on, and you see the 3 nipples.
that black fishnet
Right,
shirt.
exactly. That's what he's wearing when he's.
Oh
doing
my
it.
god.
And
Hey,
he's-
I only wear that when we play the game, guys. It's for distraction.
Oh, you're not supposed to tell anyone about the game.
The great game
Yeah, so 3
called
nipples.
Seduction.
3 nipples. Don't trust them.
Let's talk about religion.
Let's talk about religion, this is like my
All of them are dumb. If you believe in them, you're an idiot.
Wow.
Is that what we're doing?
All right, so let's talk about something else then. No, religion. Let's talk about religion. I mean, this is a cult after all.
Yeah. And there's no specific like religion of the Genestealer. Like a lot of the time they will adapt the religion that the planet already has. So if it was an orc cult, like they might adapt like
It's a cult of the Gorkmork.
the 4-armed Gorkamorka, you know. They'll come up with
The
their
cult
own
of the purple orc or something. Right?
anything that can just like kind of
they'll
draw
twist it.
and
I
draw
like the
people in.
flavor of this, but it doesn't necessarily seem to make sense to me because
All right, well, let's talk about why you would do this.
Or
Okay.
why doesn't it make sense to you?
it
Let's
doesn't
start
make
there.
sense to me because when they're the Genestealers themselves or the cult, it doesn't need to like control them in any way.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they'd have to have some religious element when they're psychically being controlled anyway. So what's the purpose?
So
I have a good answer for you.
you can tell them.
Okay, hit me with it.
Okay, so let's say that
On the planet James.
On the planet James. Planet Jim. The Genestealer lands, and he starts to bring people into his cause. Now, for posterity's sake, women can only give birth every 9 months. Right? As a human. Right?
It takes
probably
a little bit of
no, as soon as that baby's out, you're putting it in.
But let's just say there are reasons. There are certain biological reasons, or even just spatial. Right? Like, what if there's another hive city that's just really hard to get to and your cult isn't large enough yet to go there? So you can't physically go to the other city, or you can't physically get people into the hive through procreation, or into the cult through procreation. Instead, you share an ideal with them. And you say, I'm in this cult of the four-armed emperor. It's an amazing thing. Join my cult. And so you get this ideology, and now your brain is already brainwashed to be a part of this cult. And then as soon as a Genestealer shows up, boom, 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 no resistance, done.
Sure.
It's just another way of hurting the masses, because organized religion
is a good time.
It's a great time. That's what I was going to say.
See, you're going to make more money as a cult leader, but you're going to have more fun
as a follower.
You see, here's
that's
the
a great
thing.
brand.
I love the flavor of it, like where it's like this semi like religious. It's a cult,
yeah,
right, yeah,
and it's cool as a flavor thing,
yeah.
But I still don't think, even with like, oh, I'm gonna get these people, the amount of effort that they have to put in when all they have to do is basically like whoop with their mouth. It seems like way more effort than they need to when they're breeding an army.
You can't be everywhere at once. And words and ideas spread infinitely faster and wider than people.
And
I love the idea of like entire systems taken over with this cult growing that started on one planet from a Genestealer infestation, and the infestation hasn't left the planet yet.
Yeah.
But the idea of this cult has popped up churches all over the sector.
Again, I love the flavor of it. I still don't. I just think it's so much effort to try and convince people.
Come to my cult of the four-armed emperor this Sunday, and we'll change your mind.
I see what you're saying. It's a lot of extra effort.
It is,
but it creates such a good thing, because then even that cult might start wars with other religions, and the whole thing destabilizes everything.
Again, I love the flavor of it.
So
I get why they did it as a story
say,
point.
I just don't like it, and then we'll tell you another fact. You say, I like the flavor of it. We'll go back.
That's what we're gonna do.
Real. We never went on the moon.
Okay, but that's
flat Earth is a real thing, because who's ever actually seen the Earth?
300 is
look at the Apollo video.
300 is historically accurate.
Add that to the list.
Vaccines cause autism.
I can read.
Mark, don't be outlandish. At least I'm saying things that are plausible. Jeez. Fort Knox has no gold in it anymore.
So back to the religion. It's also not entirely clear how much they push it. There are some cults that definitely push it more. Others don't. The Genestealers are highly intelligent, and they might go onto a planet the planet for thousands of years they're atheists. Like, so then they're not gonna try to push this religion on things that.
Of course, you wouldn't need to incorporate it. Unless to them it's just the agency of the brood mind.
Yeah.
Right? It could also be seen that in order for the brood mind to work, like, you have to view the patriarch as a deity. Like, you never like, it's an alien race, and I don't know, and it's a cool aspect of it, but it's not fully explained.
Sure. And I'm sure they could do some hand waving.
Yeah, well,
and make it this is how it works. It works because of this is why,
of course,
and I'm gonna make it that way.
That's biogenetics.
I'm not saying that if you believe in it, it makes it work. I am saying that it's easier to listen to someone when you believe they're a deity, and your mind is more acceptance to a suppression, and to obey them 100% if you believe that they're a deity.
Or like there's like this natural spirituality to humans, and in order to tap into that somehow they need to, like, I'm sure you could explain it somehow.
And I don't mind those explanations either.
Sure.
Like, humans as a species are spiritual. Like, they're always searching for something that's outside of the realm of reality, right? Regardless of if you think it's healing crystals or what.
Healing crystals in the vagina. You've heard of those before?
It's so weird.
Yeah, there's a little...
Oh, I try that all the time.
But
your vagina.
His mangina.
Yeah. Hey,
each his own, I guess.
listen,
Don't touch
men
me.
can have a giant. It's 2018, you bigot.
Okay.
You fucking bigot,
Let's
Eric.
talk about
You
Genestealer.
fucking bigot.
So we've talked about Genestealers. We've talked about what happens when they go on a planet. We've talked about how it takes them generations to raise up this cult, this army. Obviously, they create an army that can go to war, overthrow planets, even star systems.
Yeah.
But what is the whole purpose of any of this?
Perfect. It's simple. It's just a big sex cult.
Planet-wide orgies.
Planet-wide orgies. That is the ultimate goal of
That
the
is the
Genestealer cultists.
Like, man, guess the Tyranids are gone. What am I going to do?
Why do you...
Wild
Eric, you said it
sex.
yourself. Why do you think they have so many arms? It's so they can grab more dicks.
Oh, well, now I kind of don't want to continue. Next.
No, the purpose of the Genestealer cult, the reason why they do this, the reason why they grow an army, the reason why they take over governments and destabilize entire star systems is all for one reason.
Food. Glorious food.
Exactly, because let's not forget, they are Tyranids.
They're Tyranids, yeah.
They're Tyranids, and the whole point of Tyranids is to consume biomass. So they infect this entire population just to get it ready for when the Tyranid invasion does come, that the entire planet will already belong to the Tyranids,
Yeah.
and the Tyranids won't have to spend biomass to get this planet.
So we purposefully missed over a very important function of the Patriarch
Yes.
and his psychic power as it grows when the broodmind grows. When he gets sufficiently powerful, the Magus owns all the people in politics. The Primus is born and training his army.
Yeah.
The people are ready. The metamorphs are starting to, or maybe even not before metamorphs. The psychic power of the Patriarch will grow so powerful that he will start shining like a beacon in the warp.
Like
And
a bright
this-
star.
like a
Like
bright
my
star.
brother.
which-
Grant, just to
okay,
be clear.
yeah.
A bright star.
Shining in the night.
Shining in the night.
Drawing you ever onward. And like a moth to flame.
We come.
So this beacon that the Patriarch sets off shines for the High Fleet. And
Yeah.
this High Fleet is drawn to it because it's a signal that this area is ready for us to feed. And that is the whole purpose of a Genestealer cult.
That is wild. All of this.
All of this
For that.
For lunch.
Yeah. And what's really wild, too, is no one in the cult knows this. And it's me and Eric were speculating if even the Patriarch knows this.
Yeah. So Mark was like, well, he's a Tyranid. So
He was originally born on a Tyranid hive
exactly.
ship.
He's very intelligent. He
Yeah.
understands how like the Tyranids work and everything. But in the Codex, it does say that even the Patriarch isn't fully aware of what is going to happen to his army.
Yeah.
So, right, because,
Interesting.
and that's crazy to me, is he's creating this thing on his instinct and his DNA, and he's just following his like genetic orders, and then he's setting off this beacon, and he's like, "Welcome, my family," and his family's like, "Move
nom, nom,
aside,
nom, nom.
it's time to eat."
Yeah.
Right, and then all his people, his children, that he's been having for 100 years, maybe,
Yeah.
are now just another thing to be consumed by the fleet.
Yeah. I don't know if it's ever specifically stated what happens to all these cultists when the fleet comes. We know they get eaten. That's a fact.
100%.
That's a fact.
You don't survive that.
But we're not sure if like then the brood lord like
Did they just bend over and take it too?
exactly. That's what we're not sure about. And if anyone's ever come across a story about that, I'd love to hear it.
Well, that'd be
I
so
would like
cool.
both. I would love to hear of Genestealer cultists that are throwing themselves into the acid pools
Yeah.
to be digested.
Like
and
this is your portal to the afterlife.
Exactly. Yeah, like the Magus is telling everyone like this is how you will meet our god and
Yeah.
and everything.
The four-armed emperor is here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Go into the pools and be born anew or something, right?
Yeah.
But I would also love to see these Genestealer cultists that are like think they're fighting with these Tyranids that they believe are angels, and then all of a sudden the Tyranids just start eating them.
So,
Or even if like,
And then they have to
what if a
fight
gene
back.
stealer's like, well, what if I don't want my army to get eaten?
I don't think a Genestealer
that
has a
happen?
choice.
there's one thing. The Genestealers will go back onto the hive ship and start the process of infestation anew. They don't get digested.
Nice.
But
Getting free.
yeah, that there is one crazy thing. There is one crazy twist to all of this too. So it is a cult. It's a religion. They jump. They're told jump into gene stealers or into the digestive pools, and you'll be born anew. And like we know that when they look at the hybrid metamorphs, they hail them as like saints. Like look at these creatures, these holy creatures. They have like
whips for hands.
Yeah, exactly. And then they jump into the digestive pool, and then their biomass actually forms new Tyranids. Like so,
it doesn't happen like that. They would never see it because there's big capillary tubes that draw that juice up the ship.
Yeah, it's not like then it comes out the other
one
end.
In, one
but
out.
To some degree, this whole cult actually is
becoming Tyranids.
Becoming Tyranids and is actually like keeping its promises.
That's crazy to think about.
It's a weird thing. So
It is weird.
yeah, when I look at it like that, I think they just welcomely.
How good was the cult, right? How good was the religion? Are you convinced that this is like what you need to do? Like, it's literally a suicide pact at the end of a cult.
Yeah,
right.
Like
is everyone going to
seen people do that?
Fucking Kool-Aid.
Yeah, we've seen that happen a bunch of times. So
we know it's real.
Well,
that's another function of the cult, the religion, the need for it.
True. I here's a question I had though when I was thinking about this is like, we know that there's been different waves of Tyranid invasions, and the Gene Stealers weren't there in like McCraig or whatever, right? That battle, there weren't Gene Stealers, were there?
There were. Yeah.
Oh, were they every single one, or were they?
Gene Stealers were actually the
first
first thing encountered.
Normally, Gene Stealers are always the first thing you encounter, but you can also encounter Gene Stealers without encountering a Gene Stealer cult.
That's what I meant. Sorry, when I said Gene Stealers, I meant Gene Stealer cults.
Yes.
So like there weren't the cults though. The first
not on
waves.
McCraig,
no,
not in Ultramar.
That's what I'm saying. Sorry, I should have been more clear. I meant the cult wasn't present in like the first invasions.
Yeah.
So like,
well, an interesting thing is that we technically don't know if there are not cults out there because Tyranids have been in our galaxy for a very long time.
Well, that's kind of what I'm thinking though. Is like, is it like there's a you could separate between, is it like a mutation that they're like evolving to invade the galaxy, or is it like a wave thing? Like first wave was just a probing attack, and then is this now the wave 2, and then you could say, oh, now then there's going to be wave 3, which will have some other thing.
They send
and each one has a specific purpose.
They send their first wave in, and it's just an
Gene Stealer
expeditionary
wave kind of thing.
Yeah,
the Gene Stealer cult wave. Sorry,
maybe this is where they're just trying to like, all right, pull our forces back. We don't need to expend a lot of energy. Just send the infection out first.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Because like,
I mean, that would be the best way to do it.
Yeah, and
if you can afford to wait,
which you can, if you're traveling the vast expanse of the void, you have scout ships that are ahead of you, whatever. But we kind of did say it, like Gene Stealers were actually the very first Tyranid creature encountered and documented. There's been a couple other cases that
like Imagarl or something, right?
Yeah, the Imagarl Gene Stealers or whatever. But there's been a couple other supposed encounters. Like there's some like sea creature that they thought was a Gene Stealer, but these are the
they
first
found like
true,
a bio ship back in like 30K or something that they think is Tyranid.
But these are the very first confirmed one, and they've been in the galaxy for hundreds of years before the actual Tyranid fleet made its presence known.
Sure.
So then it's like, are there cultists everywhere that we just don't know about?
Yeah.
Well, it seems though like the first invasions though didn't have the cults. It does seem like
so. Depending on the planet, like there are ways to stop the cult. Like on a Space Marine chapter world,
the cult isn't going to survive.
Yeah,
because there's psychers there. There's
enough of a strength that if an uprising does happen, they can quash it pretty easily.
They're really good at ferreting out corruption in Xenos.
I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to remember if it was the first Tyrannic War or the second one, but there was this huge cult battle that did happen, and it was a major.
I just thought that was the second. It wasn't in the first one.
Yeah, it was probably
because it was the second one when there was all those weird uprisings.
It's just possible that Gene Stealers just didn't make it to that planet because the Gene Stealers like the Tyranid fleet goes straight, right? But if a Gene Stealer didn't go straight and he hopped on a ship and that ship went all the way to the opposite end of the galaxy, it's possible that they just never landed on McCraig.
Yeah, sure. It's possible they just skipped something, or Gene Stealer just. Maybe there's one in hibernation. You never know.
I just don't. I want to hold their like the story's feet to the fire a little bit about it. I don't want them to just like retcon. Oh yeah, there were cults and they're all over the place. I don't like that. If they're gonna do it, it should be like.
Well, okay, the reason why I wouldn't be that upset if that was the case is there's such large expanses of the galaxy that are uncharted.
Sure.
Still, so
it could have happened somewhere and they don't know.
Like there's
sure.
Tyranids, there's Necron everywhere throughout the galaxy, but we just haven't met them because we don't go to those places.
Sure.
Right? So there could be cultists everywhere.
Yeah, but we do have like a specific, by Generation 5, they look a certain way. So there is a little bit of a time limit on how long they can stay in there.
Stay hidden.
Exactly.
At some point, they are going to reach critical mass, and they will take over.
So,
the
like
planet.
after 5 generations, you can't like expect that they're still.
No, they could still stay hidden though, because like
more pure strength. It's just as you grow, the chances of being caught increases.
Okay, but
and
like
it's exponential growth, so the chances increase by a lot.
So, like the McCraig thing, that was like how many hundreds of years ago?
Honestly, I don't know anything about the Tyrannic War.
Sure, but just from what I've looked into it, they couldn't have. It doesn't seem likely that if the 5 generations you're starting to get pure gene stealers again.
Yeah,
you couldn't be. It couldn't be like 600 years ago, and they're still just like the secret.
Yeah.
They seem to have like a fairly like consistent.
But like, let's say you only infect one person. Or 4 people.
But that doesn't follow the pattern that you're
if the brood mind is
here.
sufficiently powerful enough, it can overpower.
So he's just decided he's going to not do what he's supposed to.
Maybe he's just doing it so much more slowly than he normally would, because as his intelligence, he determines like, I can't make as big of a change. This needs to happen over centuries as opposed to decades.
There's a gene stealer on Terra, and he's just doing one guy at a time.
There actually has been a Genestealer cult on Terra.
Well, okay, then there's some hidden place. There's a chapter world somewhere, and he's just doing one at a time. Too. He's doing one at a time, so it's slow.
All I'm saying is that this is how humans have normally observed it working. But the reality is, it's an alien race, and it can do whatever the hell it pleases. And we would just be oh boy.
Fair enough. I just like limits to the way the story does it instead of it just could be anything. I don't like that openness. I like a little bit more close.
It's fear.
It's terror, okay? I don't want them to be allowed to do that.
How am I supposed to know if my neighbor is a Genestealer cultist?
Just kill him anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Save yourself.
So that's the purpose of Genestealers. It's fucking crazy. All that work just so the Tyranids, when they encounter the planet, they have the least resistance.
So cool. So very 40K.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
Terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. Let's do a couple other things. We haven't really done this in a long time, but we're just going to ask a couple questions. And then we're going to want some answers. But this is questions that Mark and I thought of. So the first thing we're going to just discuss is the new models. James, have you seen them?
Oh, I'm all up in that. They're so good.
Right? Okay.
I love them.
So if you haven't checked out the new models yet, go check them out. There's Genestealer models. There's a Slanesh Marine model. There's Calgar with his Honor Guard.
I think it's just... Isn't it a Chaos character?
Well, there's one with a guitar.
Yeah.
The noise.
But there's also one with a jump pack and like a glaive, it looks like. Yeah. So obviously awesome. There's even a new Titan.
Yeah.
There is a new Titan.
And that thing's pretty wild.
It's a good time.
Yeah. But the new models for the Genestealers are awesome.
They're cool. Super cool. The ATV, the bikes. Oh, I love it.
I love the one where he's like on the bike, but the bike is stopped, his foot's down, and he's got his rifle across it.
Yeah.
He was riding and ripped it and
great models. Terrible
so
people.
Cool. so
no, the model line for the Genestealers that just came out is quite like it's over the what's that planet? Vigilus. Yeah, the Vigilus weekend I think was
that's
just this weekend when they're filming it. So doing this. So
my favorite model in the new range is that 3-armed gunslinger guy. Just what's better than dual wielding pistols?
Triple wielding.
Yeah, but
it is. I really like them. I've always liked Genestealer Cultist models, but it's a really cool addition to add like bikes into them.
in typical salty Mark fashion.
What are you talking about? We're gonna do this right now?
Do what?
Calgar?
No.
Oh. What's your salt, Mark?
I got some salt there, so
We can do that later.
We'll
but
get
we'll
there.
keep it in the theme of the Genestealer.
All right.
So, and this kind of ties into, we kept throughout the episode referring to them as the host species.
With purpose.
With purpose, because Genestealers will literally infect any race. They'll infect orcs. They will infect Eldar. Like back in
They'll
the 90s.
infect Osirian cybrids.
Exactly. Any race,
They'll
they will
infect
affect it.
Rock Ghoul.
Yeah.
Tau.
So that brings me to
Ratlings.
my salt about the
Squads.
Genestealer Cultists. Those are all...
Eldar. Dark Eldar.
Eric's mom.
Eric's mom
Necron.
is definitely infected.
Oh.
She's got
she doesn't live.
She got full-blown AIDS, Eric. No, my problem with it is I don't like the model. I love the way the model line is. I don't like the model line because they take Genestealer humans, and that's what you think they are. But really, that's one cult. Not every Genestealer is a miner. Not every Genestealer has these motorbikes.
Not every Genestealer has access to Goliath trucks and
Exactly.
Lehman Russes and this weirdly specific ribbed armor that you
Yeah.
don't see anywhere else.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, the models are sweet.
They're awesome.
And I love that for a specific Genestealer cult.
Yes.
Well, they should almost do it like kind of how they approach orcs, where you could kind of just take things from other lines and
Yeah.
make them into a...
So
It's hard to do that well, though, I think.
so
is the problem.
here's what I would have done releasing Genestealer Cultists.
Tell us, Mark, what would you have done?
And
as
what
the
I thought would have
CEO?
been better.
Yeah.
You still release those model lines, but I don't think the Genestealer Cultists should have had their own individual codex. I
You
don't.
think it should have been a part of the
I think it
Tyranid?
should have been a part of the Tyranid as one unit in the Tyranid Codex. And this stat line, depending on, it's one stat line, but like let's say you're like, okay, I'm gonna make orc Genestealers. Now you pay 1 extra point, you get 1 extra toughness. It's pretty simple. Like it's not overly complicated.
And then people ask you how you're doing, and you have to say you're fine, but you're not fine, and they'll never understand.
like
It hurts
just
me so much when you say that. Mark.
Genestealer Cultists, it's like the models are sweet, but that's one cult. Like that is not a true representation of what Genestealer cults are.
Interesting point.
It's such
Actually,
a limited scope.
the majority of Genestealer cultists have been known to be human, and that's only because the human is the most prolific race in the galaxy.
Well, you could
minus
also
orcs.
argue that these are the Vigilus specific cults.
And I'm okay with that. Like, but what's going to happen when their codex is released? They're going to come out with 5 or 6
Different
cult
cults, yeah.
rules, and they all fucking look the exact same.
Yeah, the armor is the exact same. It's just gonna
Even
be a
though they're
slight
on different
paint.
parts of the galaxy, and they all
The
are miners.
armor and the mining
Like-
feel to it is really what it's like.
Yeah, like I get why they do
Of
it. Like
course.
obviously they can't make orc Genestealers, but just
an
imagine.
entire range of orc Genestealers,
Yeah.
an entire range for one very specific army.
Yeah,
Well,
but
I think they could do the whole where you can grab things from different codexes,
Yes.
and then you can give them generic rules, but then just you could say, okay, I'm gonna take a Lehman Russ, or I'm gonna take a Death Core from Krieg kind of thing, and then just Genestealer it up if you want.
yeah,
That's
it's
a
like
possibility, but and I even think I would like to see that.
I would
but
love to
it's
see it
that's
fully
not
fleshed
for
out.
the first person. Like as someone who wants to get into it, and they're like, "Oh, sweet, Genestealer cultist." That is
Yeah.
not for a beginner at all. That's for someone
Yeah.
who's had a couple armies. They know their different kits. They know how to bash them together. They're familiar working
Yeah.
with green stuff.
yeah,
Shit.
and ultimately that's why they've done what they've done.
But to be fair, you can't expect them to be like, okay, I'm gonna release
no.
a beginner's kit that is going to be representative of how the whole species works as a whole.
Which is what Mark's disappointed in, is that it doesn't exist, and he knows why it's not there.
Yeah.
He's just, it would have been so much cooler.
Like I
to
would
see
have,
that.
yeah, I would have loved if there was just in the Tyranid Codex. There's a unit called Genestealer Cultists. They still released a Genestealer Cultist human. Like what they did, they still released like half those models, but then they also say, look, be creative. Go buy an orc. Go buy Kit Bash stuff. I've seen some amazing Kit Bash stuff. So for the new person, like in all their books and stuff, they show that Genestealer Cultist, like their models. But then they clarify, because they don't even really clarify in the book that there's other types of.
They do.
They do,
It's
but like they
very
don't.
minimal.
Like there's not a
There's
single
2
picture of
lines.
it. Exactly. Like, and to me, like that there's not that many. There's probably more.
There's more human.
There's definitely the most human, but if you took every other race and combined all of them, humans are no longer the most. Like if humans have 51% of all genes to, or 50%, the other, never mind. Math, fuck it. 49%. All I'm saying is
there's more orcs, but the
Yeah.
reason that there's less orc cults is that orcs are most likely just to fight everything and kill them. So the cults don't have time to thrive.
Yeah, but like,
so and humans being the next most populous race in the galaxy,
yeah.
right? They are just have the biggest opportunity.
No, I know, but if you combine every other race, like,
Right, humans don't make up the majority.
that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, they don't
It's
make
a-
up the
it's a
majority.
minority.
Majority, minority.
It's the highest minority. What do you call that? Jordan, you're a politics guy. What do you call that?
A majority minority?
No, when you have 30 different things and one of them makes up 40%. So it is the largest, but it's not the majority.
It's just a disparity, I guess.
Okay. Well, I'm not talking about wages.
Yeah. All I'm saying is I would like to see Games Workshop intentionally trying to push people into making these different Xenos. Like, I don't expect them to come out with other Genestealer Cult kits for Xenos. Like, I don't expect that. But it would be nice to see them push that further. They did release, like, pretty recently one book where an Eldar craft world is infected by Genestealer cultists, and like there's a whole avatar of Cain that is actually a Genestealer.
That's sweet.
Yeah, and like it's
avatar of
like
Cain.
it literally just opens up your mind to 1,000 new story arcs, and like it just doesn't seem like in the codex there's one throwaway line, and then everyone thinks, oh, these motorbike guys are sweet, and yes, they are sweet, but that is on one planet.
Yeah.
That's
a single planet,
like,
which happens to love mining.
Yeah, like my gripe with Tau is that they're not a galactic player. Genestealers are not a galactic player, especially that one model line that
But they
released.
should be.
But they should be.
They should be more
They
galactic
should
than
be.
Tau.
Oh, absolutely. That's all. So, once again, I know why they do it. I just wish that they tried to encourage people to do conversion.
So it wouldn't make sense to have that Genestealer model line fighting a Tau then in that case, because they wouldn't be.
Well,
in
it
the same
depends
place.
where Vigilus is.
Yeah.
I don't know where it is.
I don't think Vigilus is near Tau.
Well, then it wouldn't make sense story wise to have those people fight Tau.
Yeah, and that's all. Like,
so here's kind of a silver lining for that.
yeah.
Obviously, I agree more with what you say. I'd love to see. Oh, I still want the codex.
We'd all love 1,000 models.
Right.
Yes.
I still want the separate codex.
Sure.
But I would love to see other races. But
Yeah.
all this means is when I do see conversions from other people that have like combined Genestealer cultists and Genestealers with other races, I am so impressed.
Yeah, and they're sweet.
It is the coolest thing I
Yeah.
have ever seen, and it lends itself. It's like a peak to reach.
Yeah.
Like if you want to try like a real challenging army, model a Tau Genestealer cultist army.
Yeah.
Anyone can make a Necron army. Anyone can make a Primaris army. But
No one should make a Primaris
Well, no, because
army.
that's
but,
wretched and yeah.
But yeah.
But if
like,
you want to
if
you want to try something that's like really
Yeah.
tough, you've been in the hobby for years, you know.
Yeah.
You get this crazy thing. People will ask you like, "What on earth is that? I've never seen those models before."
Yeah.
And you're like, each one of these is a very special conversion.
Yeah.
And a kit bash, and that's a cool aspect of it.
And I
but
love that.
It
but
definitely puts it out of reach.
And it raises questions too. So then at the start of every game, you have to go through your entire army and be like, this guy counts as having an auto gun, even though he's wielding a pulse rifle.
Yeah.
This guy, you have to. So like it makes a great showcase army, but don't you dare bring that to a tournament. It's not going to be allowed. If you can't tell what the conversions are, unless they're just the best painted, like it's very clear, like. Not,
even then,
like
which guns represent which guns is just what you say, right? So,
yeah, like it can be very sketchy. So I just would have loved to see Games Workshop. I get it. Okay, I think I've made my point. I think we've all made our point.
Yeah.
Fuck it. It's great. The models are great.
They are really, really good.
But
I'm
I'm
happy it was that and not more Primaris. I mean, obviously they still release Primaris because it's Primaris, but it was nice to see an alien race. All right. let's talk about another thing.
Just on the topic of just different races and stuff too. There have been some interesting examples of Genestealer cults being stopped by the race that they chose.
Commonly among orcs.
Orcs for sure, yeah, that's definitely one of them. Anything with like a high psychic presence can definitely sense it a little more. Imperial Night Worlds are actually known to be pretty Genestealer cult resistant because Eric's giving me a look as if I made this up. There's a cool reason why.
Sure.
Because
tell me about this plot armor.
Because when the noble of the house,
how thick is it?
No, when the noble of the house interfaces with his knight, the knight is like this advanced machine spirit that like invades your subconscious. So if now all of a sudden it's like a Genestealer, it's like, whoa, hold on. Like the knight is like a sentient AI creature and it can pick up on it.
Okay, what if everyone other than the knight is infected? Because there's not a lot of knights.
Then you got a problem.
Yeah, okay.
Like, I'm not saying it's
tough
immune.
to infect a knight.
Yes, I'm not saying the whole planet's immune. I'm just saying that is an example.
Could you imagine a Genestealer knight? Because they have like walkers.
3 arms. 3 arms.
Because they have like walkers and they have Lehman Russes and everything, but a knight in Genestealer.
And
it'd be
like
kind of wild.
And like it could happen. Like, what if they made a new knight and it's
of course,
it's
or they overrode it and
it can happen.
You could make up a reason.
The same thing goes for Titans. They have a similar thing where Genestealers, when they try to infect the Titan realizes and puts a stop to it.
So the Princeps can't be infected.
Same with Skitarii. Like they got a lot of like biomechanics and fail-safes and lots of genetic testing and improving and like so they are a little more resilient. It can still happen.
Yeah.
But
Skitarii Genestealers. That's sweet.
It would be cool.
That's
Very
sweet.
Cool. Another, we kind of joked about it earlier. What if the race already has 4 arms?
Yeah.
Then what? I don't know.
Do they have 7 now?
I don't got an answer for you.
Yeah. There's like.
What about the hands? Hand race.
Right? The one
that they grow like
arms on their hands?
No, and that's such a weird thing to think about. Like everyone can picture in their mind pretty easily what a Tau Genestealer would look like, or an Eldar, or a human, or an orc. Yeah. But what if you get a race that is ridiculous? Like remember those slugs? Remember those?
Oh yeah, the
slugs that they did everything through dance,
and they're colorful and they're like
Imagine that being Genestealer. How the hell would that look?
Yeah.
I have no idea. I can't even begin to think in my mind how those two things would mix
with arms.
But right, like,
but I'm sure it's a thing.
I'm sure it's a thing.
So, I just would love to see Games Workshop just expand on that
because it definitely allows for like one of the most.
The codex is not out yet, so you never know.
This is true. They're definitely going to come out with
no hopes that they release 70 boxes.
No, they're not going to do that, but they might you never know what they might do codex wise.
Sure, rules wise.
Yeah, they might have some.
Well, so
things.
Back in the day, like I'm talking like 3rd edition through I think 5th, they would actually create profiles that did not have models.
Oh yeah.
But what ended up happening was a bunch,
their...
third-party people started like making official quote unquote models for it.
They made what they thought the model should be, and then other people just accepted it.
Yeah, but then Games Workshop discovered that, and now they only release rules for models. So there's no hope now of them coming out like with here's an orc or an Eldar Genestealer because there is no model.
The only way I'd see it happening is if like. You have that orc rule because orcs used to be able to take Lehman Russes at one point, didn't they? And
looted vehicles,
looted vehicles. So they might do something like that.
So a good way, actually, chapter approved. Chapter approved would be the perfect place because with chapter approved, they are bringing back looted vehicles, even though they don't have models. You can't bring them in matched play, but
so that allows for another aspect of you on something that's Games Workshop sanctioned.
So that would be the perfect way, I guess, to do it now is to do a chapter approved of some Genestealer cults where it's literally just like, okay, if you're an orc Genestealer, add +1 to your toughness. Yeah. You still use all the same war gear because otherwise it can get a little messy. Otherwise,
as much as it doesn't work, you still want some simplicity in your army.
Yeah. Or you literally say take any codex and you just add a Genestealer rendering claw onto it. However whatever. It would be crazy.
We could hash this out over
You could literally just make it. You can use any codex rules and just say they're Genestealers. You can do that too.
but then you could do that already.
Well, no.
Well, that's what I'm
you could
saying.
do that,
Yeah.
but then they just add a point value to like ambush, which is like one of the big things about Genestealers is the ability to pop up. So they're
And
like,
rending
look,
claws.
Yeah, exactly. If you
A
want to
third
play
arm.
as Genestealers from any codex, you take any model and you add this many points to it to give it access to these two things.
Exactly. Like that.
Oh my gosh.
That would be a great way to do it.
And don't make it match play because it wouldn't probably be fair. But
No,
it'd be fun.
exactly. It'd be fun. Exactly.
You could do
So,
some
Yeah.
narrative crap.
yeah.
That would be really sweet.
Yeah. So I think that kind of covers racial inclusivity.
Oh yeah.
Like be creative, man. Like there's so many wild ones out there, wild conversions.
Yeah, they're really sweet. It's probably the better side of conversions. Like
Yeah.
I like those conversions better than I like Space Marine conversions.
Yeah.
They're boring.
Yeah.
Okay, we got a little bit more time and we've got a couple more things we want to get through. So one of them is, so let's say this Genestealer cult has been growing on the planet and we kind of already talked about what happens when they come.
Yeah.
And, there's the two options. Well, do you jump into the pool and give yourself to the four-armed Emperor God, or do you fight back and be forced into the pool because you're still losing your life either way? But what happens if the Tyranids don't ever come?
It's sad.
Of course, you've lost a friend.
You've lost
You've lost
an
family.
ally.
Family, even. But what happens when they reach critical mass and the Patriarch determines, like, okay, it's time to take over the planet. Like, his beacon goes off.
Yeah.
And they take over the planet and they have it. No one shows up.
So I would put it into two categories. If they're an interplanetary planet, or if the interplanetary, like they have space access, airplanes,
Spacefaring.
interplanetary. Would that not be? How would you say that?
Interplanetary race. Host.
No. Like if that planet has spaceships on it,
Right.
If it can
So
go
if
to
the
other
hosts
planets,
had spaceships.
Yeah.
So if the hosts were spacefaring.
yes.
Yeah.
Then it's pretty simple. Then they just go to the nearest planets and
Do you think
start taking over them.
Okay. Do they abandon the planet, the first one?
No, because you still need those resources and stuff to.
You can take them on the new planet.
No, but you still need to hold that planet, like
Yeah, for the
and like let's.
I mean, I agree.
because eventually you will reach a planet that resists. So then you have this whole empire to go take the next planet, right?
So this is no longer a cult.
It's still called.
This
That-
is a
cult empire.
a system
Yeah.
of Genestealer cultists that are traveling from planet to planet, proselytizing.
Prostatize. Wait.
Yeah, with their prostates.
Yes.
And spreading the word of their cult of the four-armed emperor, and it's resist or be enveloped in our fold.
Yeah. And
Right?
that's most likely what's going to happen. Like, and that's pretty straightforward. That's what's going to happen to me.
Straightforward, he says. Terrifying, I say.
Yeah. To me, the more interesting question is, what if the Tyranids don't come, and what if that planet does not have access to the ability to leave their planet?
Yeah, what if it was a backward farm world?
Yeah.
Where they're stuck in the Middle Ages?
Yeah.
Because the Genestealers, like, sure, they're intelligent, but they don't know how space physics work.
Yeah.
They can't build jet engines,
Yeah.
rocket engines.
Because even NIDS don't do
No.
that. So
They have to grow them.
to me, that's the more interesting question. Because then the whole point of it is to create the planet ready for when the Tyranids come, to get the most biomass for the least amount of cost. So if that cult continues to live on that planet for thousands of years, they're using up the resources of the planet, which kind of goes against their whole point.
Well, you said they could go dormant though. Couldn't like a cult
Well,
go dormant?
Genestealers could.
Like full gene stealers, yeah.
A
But the
pure
rest
strain.
of the humans...
could that if they take over the planet, could they just the Genestealers all go dormant and they don't need the cultists anymore?
Do you think they just
necessarily?
kill them all?
Yeah, like maybe it does a revolt where all the gene stealers rise up, kill all the cultists, then they hibernate, and the planet is just left.
And it's waiting to be harvested.
Yeah,
And, it's
and then if like more people come to the planet to try to colonize it, the gene stealer's still there, and they're just redo the process.
yeah, to try and just get it all over with again.
But I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. It's always just like eventually the Tyranids come.
If we were put it to a vote, what do you think? Do they think the gene stealers kill the cultists once they've captured literally the entire planet? Like once everyone on the planet is a gene stealer.
Yeah,
Do you think they kill it?
I do.
Yeah.
That would make the most
I do.
sense.
Yes.
no.
call, Jordan.
I'm gonna say no,
Just to be the devil's advocate, hey?
just to be the shit lord.
Okay. I gave you a much nicer name.
Yeah, they most likely would.
It
but
just
I don't know.
makes the most sense
Yeah.
for them because and even you could say like, oh no, but then the bodies decompose and it's in the air. Tyranids even suck dry atmospheres. So literally, as long as it's there, they will consume it.
Yeah. Any other little things?
I don't think so.
Listener questions, real quick.
I've got those. Yeah.
Okay. I think most of them we pretty much answered, but
Woodrow asks, has there ever been gene stealers of another race, such as orc gene stealers?
yes, and even like they've had models for it. They've had official Games Workshop orc models, and I believe
They actually look a lot like orcs.
well, they are.
I know,
orcs.
but more like orcs than like gene stealers. Maybe they're fourth generation.
Yeah, who knows? And I believe there have been an Eldar model as well. I'm pretty sure I've seen
Official?
one. Pretty sure.
Oh, interesting.
Pretty sure. Don't quote me on that one though.
I'm going to now.
Okay, perfect.
Jeffrey asks, are there joggers or khaki stealer cults as well? If so, I'd like them to kindly return my pants to me. You'd fit right in on this podcast. That's for sure.
With the ability to not read
Right. Because this was about gene stealers,
and not
jogger
denim
stealers.
jeans stealers.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, I get it now.
Oh my god, did you not
You
get
said
it?
joggers.
Christian messaged me the other day. He's like, I just listened to your orc episode. Is Eric really that fucking dumb that he didn't know wall?
All right, let's hash this out over this
loved
right
it.
now because it's a place where he can't
I
interrupt
loved
me and
it.
be a
I
little fuck.
enjoyed it.
So, here we go. If you read a word,
Never have.
right, of course.
Can't relate.
Let's say the word A-A-A-A-A-G-H.
Okay.
Or let's just say UGH, because they're very similar. How do you say that?
Ooge.
Sure. How do you say it, Mark?
I can't, man.
Jordan, how would you say it?
AGH?
UGH.
Oh, yeah. Ugh.
Okay, how would you say AGH?
Ah.
How would you say AGH, Mark?
That's past my
James,
grade
how would you
3.
say AGH? Say it into the mic.
Ah?
Okay, how would you say WAGH? We're getting there, Mark, don't worry.
W.
WAGH.
Ugh.
Okay, James.
Waj.
All right. Where the fuck do you get war out of that? I don't know any British friends. I don't listen to podcasts. I don't listen to audiobooks. I've literally never heard a British accent say the word wah before. Is it so
He's
hard
pissed.
to think?
He's fucking pissed.
He made me seem like I'm a fucking inbred for thinking that it was
Which
just
you are,
for
but-
thinking it was just a war cry as opposed to them yelling war. It was just like, sure, they're fucking aliens. They just yell wah and it's a war cry. It is what it is. And then Dylan said it and I was like, oh my god, it's war. But if you've never heard it said out loud, if you don't creep Reddit threads by the 1,000 like Christian does.
Oh,
He
I
has
guess that makes sense now that you say it, but like, I wouldn't have put that together.
if you
I
see-
speak English like a North American,
Right.
not like some Cockney.
It's so like, is he so dumb that it's impossible for him to logic that out himself? Use your fucking brain, Christian.
Don't yell.
God.
This is a family-friendly podcast.
No, I didn't even answer. So he said that in our group chat. Like he texted us and was like, "Oh, Eric, did you just realize it's war?" And I didn't even answer. I was so upset at his belittlement of me. Oh man. So, anyways, let's get on to our other listener questions.
What was the question again?
Owen said, "Can you detect gene stealer taint with cats, like Jonesy from Alien?"
Yes.
I agree.
Why not?
I like it.
I would like to think
Gene-
that
my
there's-
cat-
there
Cats
should be
always-
a gene. You know that dog on the Rogue Trader model? They should make a gene stealer dog.
Interesting.
Gene stealer sniffing dog. Gene stealer dog.
Gene stealer dog.
Trying to uproot society.
one dog fuck at a time. One dog litter. Alex says, "This episode may get me to finally paint my cult." Awesome. First of all, that should be your first army. I'm super excited. Any word on the new vehicles that they've got fluff-wise, or is that going to be covered in a future episode? Fluff-wise, they're just adding to the range.
Yeah, like
There's not like a specific reason that they have bikes now.
well, to me the whole theme is like it's on a mining world, like rugged terrain
Yeah.
and handsome men. rugged men.
Well, you could argue that because they added the orc kind of vehicles too,
Speed
and
freaks.
Yeah, and then the whole setting of Vigilus is kind of like these barren fields that everyone's driving across.
Yeah,
you could make that argument that that's kind of what it's happening.
Sure, of course.
ATV literally stands for something similar.
Troy, you can't bring that in here. Yes, I can. It's all terrain, dummy.
Exactly. So that's why those models fit in. That would be the fluff. It's just.
I think it may. Yeah. Well, they've established that it's kind of like a world where you.
But it literally could have been like a jungle world, swamp world, and they would have had speeders.
Yeah,
that float over it, right? Yeah. It would have been a frozen world, and they would have had snowmobiles, or things with tracks. Yeah. All I'm saying is that
if it's a vehicle, I mean, the vehicle fits the setting.
Yes, exactly, but it doesn't matter what setting it is. They would have found a vehicle to fit, and that's.
I mean, bikes are part of the 40K thing. They like bikes. There's a lot of bikes everywhere.
There's a lot of bikes and cavalry. Not so much cavalry anymore. The cross cavalry. What's the word?
Cavalry.
Cavalry.
No. Cavalry.
Pony.
Cavalry.
Cavalry.
And then Scott, what he said is, I just love family photos. And he's talking about the photo Mark posted with 2 humans and a Genestealer.
And they have their arms wrapped around the Genestealer.
They love him. They love him. Yeah. Leave him alone. Anyways,
that was all the questions.
Yeah,
there wasn't a lot.
It wasn't a lot. No. That's what happens when we didn't tell Colin that we were recording today.
Oh, my shitty post wasn't good enough. Okay.
Well, no. Okay. I mean, it's nothing against you, Mark. You're a great person.
Okay.
Just
kidding.
Yeah. Anyways, thank you, James, for coming on our episode.
It's always a pleasure, guys.
James, do we want to rant about Primaries Marines for a bit? Can everyone sign off now if they want? And then we got 10-minute rant.
Oh, Primaries? I'm all ready for it. I'm ready.
But thank you for coming on, James.
Well, thank you for inviting me. It's a lot of fun.
Jeez, you sound so like, yeah, I just did this because I fucking had to.
Well, you did.
My wife kicked me out of the house. I had nowhere to go.
So. It's not that you were second call. It's just Nathan would.
It's just you weren't first. You weren't Primus.
I wasn't.
You were not. Technically, you're Magus at this point.
I'm Secundus. Thank you.
Oh boy. All right, let's do Primaries.
Calgar.
New Primaris Lieutenant.
Oh my god. Well, the new Codex, obviously, coming out pretty quick here.
Any day now. That Lieutenant Codex.
We'll get the Primaris Lieutenant Codex. That'll be sweet.
I'm looking forward to it.
I mean, there's almost more Primaris Lieutenant models than there are Genestealer, units.
Units, yeah. But there are more Primaris Lieutenant models than there are Harlequin models.
Oh, yeah.
So that's fun.
That's wild.
So that makes life enjoyable.
Why? I mean, I get it, but why?
I actually don't get why there's so many.
So many people play Primaris.
But he's like the worst of all the models, honestly. It doesn't do a lot, and it's kind of expensive. They're not really value.
Okay.
It would be one thing if they literally came out with a lieutenant model for each of the 9 founding chapters.
Sure.
I could get behind that. Sure, absolutely. But they're all
you're right.
generic.
They're all Ultramarine.
Well, no.
Yeah.
Oh my god, there's 1 Ultramarine, 1 Blood Angel, 1 Dark Angel, and 1 Space Wolf.
Well, as soon as if they're painted blue, they're Ultramarines. So.
Well, and then there's a whole bunch of other ones. There was the special edition one, the 500 store.
Yeah.
There's so many.
Yeah.
They don't need any more.
We're good. We're good. And now they added Calgar as the primary solution.
That pisses me off so much.
Yeah.
I want it my main army is all Primaries.
Yeah.
And I like the models. I just don't. Oh, it's awful. It loses every time. I think I've lost 6 games in a row.
Fuck.
But
you got to play against me.
Yeah, I need some Necron pick me up.
Hello, Necron pick me up.
Well, I don't play to win, so
yes.
Well, we've experienced that.
Yes. The thing is though that Calgar, I want a Primaris hero, but just Calgar, just make a new one. He's already an established character, and the whole no, we can just make anybody a Primaris if we want to. It almost killed him, but it didn't. So
you would have just rather seen a different model.
I like
a different hero.
Why? Yeah, why bring
named hero?
Exactly, just make a new one.
Yeah, it's been 200 years for a Primaris Marine to make a name for himself.
Yeah, there's no need for them to bring Calgar. He had a pretty cool model already.
Yeah,
they didn't need to make a new one for him.
It's monopose too, isn't it?
What's the problem with that? Every hero's monopose.
But
I read somebody said that
it looks so much more difficult to alter just because of Like,
his position's weird.
For me, I'm not like a super green stuff sculpting guy, and I don't know the millions of different kits out there that would fit a kit.
Well, like, even if you just move the arms a little bit or like position him so he's running, but you can't with that one.
I think that's unreasonable of you guys and a Facebook guy to say. Every hero ever has been mono pose, and I've never heard anyone ever complain about that once. So what's the big deal about Calgar being a mono pose model when literally every hero character has been that? I wish.
I'm trying to think of a character
there's been the odd one where it's like, Reboot Gilliman, you can put on a head or you can put on a helmet.
Sure, fair enough. That's not my biggest complaint with it, honestly.
It absolutely isn't. But I've heard multiple people bring that up, and it's like, that's a weird thing to complain about.
Fair enough. My honestly biggest complaint is that the whole, just like, we're just going to give him more, we're just going to make him Primaris now. Oh, is he taller? Did he grow 2 feet?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
And that's
not
stupid.
2 feet, but bigger.
I think it's like a foot or something. But he's like Primaris size
bigger,
now.
that's all that matters.
It's silly. I don't like it.
But an interesting thing now.
Sexy.
But think of this: every single hero at some point now is going to become Primaris.
Yeah, you're going to get a Dante and a...
Awesome.
It's cool.
Because
I'm sure the models are going to be great.
Awesome.
The sculpts are awesome, but I'd rather them just... If they're going to do that, don't make them actually Primaris. Just give them a new model that looks good. Why bother doing this whole...
Because they won't be to scale then. There's be regular mini Marines.
Yeah.
But this also, I was telling Mark about this the other day. If this is the way that Games Workshop chose to do it, I could see this being a thing. So now they've established that you can take a regular Marine and make him Primaris.
Great. Makes sense to me.
Okay. But it's been established that it's possible now.
And I approve.
So what...
I'm back... They dug me out of the ditch of Primaris, and I am fully on board with Primaris now.
What is to stop Games Workshop from saying that the next edition that they release, 9th edition, which in gameplay is 300 years from now, that every single Marine has gone for a surgery if they're still alive because at this point now they're at least 500 years old, right?
Yeah.
And so they're venerated, they're honorable, they're these echelons, these pinnacles of... I don't have any more words. But anyways, so all of these amazing Marines now have been turned into Primaris Marines, and so by the time 9th edition comes around, there's no more regular Marines. Like, I could see that being like, oh yeah, 8th edition is the edition where you can play both.
I think they'll do it slowly still. I think they'll still do it like an edition or two.
I don't think that would be the what they'll do, but I would enjoy that. I would enjoy them saying like, all right, now at this point, like, we're done with regular Marines. Everyone who is a Marine has been turned into the better Primaris, and as of 9th edition, the chapters no longer make regular Marines.
Sure. I would have just rather, though, if they're going to do that, just do a slow transition to true scale. These are just Marines. They didn't need to make this a Primaris.
They didn't.
That's a completely different argument. They never should have done that to begin with.
The reality is it's happened, so you can't look back.
I know. I'm just saying it's if that was their plan.
If you want to complain, find a different outlet.
Okay.
Just kidding.
Okay.
That's why we're here.
My problem with all the Primaris stuff is they write lore and it's bad. It's just awful. And then they try to fix it, but they end up making it worse. They do something that could have solved all the fucking problems, but then they don't. So here's my issue. Calgar. He's now Primaris. Perfect. Sweet. You can take regular Marines, turn them into Primaris. I wasn't joking when I said I am now 100% on board with Primaris Marines. Perfect. We no longer have to see the regular Marines. I found it incredibly stupid that you have regular Marines and Primaris Marines. Why the fuck would you use both? You wouldn't. You would not. You would use both because you want to sell both model ranges.
You would use the old Marines until they were gone, and then you would just only ever make Primaris.
But if you can upgrade them, then there's no need to use regular.
As long as you have time, you do it.
Yeah,
and the technology.
And it's been 200 years. So all of them should be Primaris. They should be Primaris. Unless, like you were saying, Eric, like they're off in a crusade somewhere and they just haven't had... They've been away for 200
it's not
years.
That they won't turn to Primaris, so they just haven't had the opportunity yet.
Yeah,
exactly. So you could lorically explain why your guys, they were off doing something.
But let's say 1% is still regular guys. Great. 100% on board with Primaris Marines. My big things were, I don't think Primaris Marines fit the setting. They advanced the plot. I got over it. Then my next biggest thing was, why are there still so many regular Marines running around? Sure, I get it. They're not just going to kill the regular Marines. Then they say regular chapters can make Primaris Marines. Oh, so now why would they ever need to make regular Marines? Maybe Call held the secret of Primaris Marines. I know he could do it.
Right. So there's a risk to it. It's dangerous, whatever. For some reason, he didn't give it out.
So then I'm like, okay, so now there really is no reason to have regular Marines continue to be made. Then Games Workshop said, the reason why regular Marines are still being made is because they are tactically useful. Because Primaris Marines lack the tactical flexibility of regular Marines. In their 500 facts of 500 store openers, this is the fucking line they fed us. Really?
It is honestly
fucking bullshit.
A terrible thing. We decided that the squads only serve a single function, and we wrote it that way.
Yeah, we could have written it any way we wanted to.
We made a mistake. Instead of changing it, let's write something else to try and explain this terrible idea.
They have
I
the
can
ability.
only carry one gun because I'm an intercessor and I can't carry a hammer.
Yeah.
It's too hard.
I don't have the training.
What is going on?
I am the elite of the elite, but I don't have the training. Yeah, so that's the issue. When they turned Calgar into a Primaris, to me, it could have fixed everything. But they are still standing by the fact that these regular Marines exist. And now I'm pissed off again. Because it's just like, you had me. You fucking had me.
Yeah.
You take everything, all those old Marines, all those great legacies, and you turn them into Primaris Marines.
I want to see a Grimaldus.
Exactly.
Primaris.
You fucking had me.
So,
I would have bought a Primaris army. I would have been fucking in it. But the regular Marines still exist.
Yeah.
And they will continue to still exist forever. They
really
are still
hoping.
making kits and molds of the old Marines.
Yeah. But it is not as much, right?
It's not as much, but it's still more than any Xeno faction gets.
Well, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. There's my salt for you. They had the chance to fix it, but they fucking just keep trying to... I get it. They're trying to sell their models. I get it.
Yeah.
But as a guy who likes the lore, it's fucking bad lore.
It's sloppy writing.
You and Christian called me out the other day on my Tau army because I made like a Tau super clone. You're like, oh, why would you do that? Blah, 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 blah. Seems like you found a rule that you wanted to use, so you made up lore to fit it. You're completely right, and I should not have done that.
Yeah. But you're not ever going to include it in your army.
No.
Which, to me, I just ignore it now.
And to be fair, I am tweaking the lore to make it so it's more reasonable and whatever.
Sure.
Because you shouldn't write lore for it to make money. Because if you write good lore, it's going to make you money. I don't know.
Well, it's a story, right? Like the whole thing about 40K is it's not just a game, right? Because there's lots of just games out there, but the story is the story's bigger than the game almost at this point. So
and
definitely doesn't make as much money as the game.
No, but it's like my uncle. I was like, he was asking me something about, what are you doing? And I was just talking about the hobby, and he's like, oh, I've never even heard of that. I have no idea what it is. And I'm like, oh, there's these books, and he's like, oh, I read some of those, and so it's like. The lore, the lore is out there in a way that, like, because he's a sci-fi nerd, so he was reading the books just for fun, and you can get into the lore. But if you were reading the lore on some of these things, you're like, what the hell is going on here? That makes no sense if you didn't know there was a game attached to it, and like he wouldn't, right? So he's reading this like, why is this happening? It doesn't make sense to me. Why can't a Marine carry a different weapon?
And why can't he enter that vehicle?
I'm too tall. I can't squat.
And to be fair, I've probably met or talked to more people who knew about 40K from a non-model point of view.
From a book.
From a video game especially. I've probably, even their shitty movie.
Oh my gosh, that movie's so bad.
Yeah. So,
oh my god.
All I'm saying is...
I'm going to go home and watch it.
All I'm saying is they had a chance to fix it. They didn't because they're greedy. And we should punish them.
Let's
be real. You're not going to punish them.
Out of everyone at this table, you are the one most likely to spend money on.
Not on Primaris, and I will never buy a Primaris Marine ever. I vow that.
I've bought enough for both of us.
At some point, when they start releasing like really good Blood Angel stuff for them. Not Blood Angel, Dark Angel.
If they release Blood Angel stuff like Death Company, I'd probably get Primaris Death Company.
Oh, but the Primaris Marines, they don't suffer from those defects. So good luck seeing Primaris Wolfen. Good luck seeing Primaris
I can't
Death
reach, but let me
Company.
put my finger on your mouth.
Because fuck Primaris. Let's leave it at that. A solid happy fuck Primaris. Everybody, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Fuck Primaris.
Yeah.
Well,
the
okay,
fact that they
to
don't get taken
switch.
by the Black Rage.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like
that was so
salamanders,
flavorful.
do they have black skin and red eyes? No, because that's technically a defect.
It's a mutation.
Like,
yeah.
okay, so great, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for your shitty lore.
It definitely removes some flavor. And I can get over that, right? I'd be like, all right, it's a brand new wave. But then the old wave needs to die. Because you would never... Because the Primaris gene, like, is the old... I have a question.
Yeah.
Is the old Ultramarine gene seed and the new Ultramarine gene seed, which is more corrupt?
The old Ultramarine gene.
So why would you ever use the old one as opposed to an uncorrupt if you had it available?
So...
Well, can they use the new gene seed to make...
You mean the old gene seed to make new ones?
No, can they use the new gene seed to make old Marines?
Yes, because the gene seed
Which means
is
you could have
two types of thing. There's the gene seed that you got to be very clear when you're talking gene seed. There's gene seed that is the two organs that allow the genetic seed to be spread on. And then there's gene seed that encompasses all the organs.
Like the 18 organs.
Like the ability to spit acid is gene seed.
It's not a specific organ, right? It's like written in that.
No, it is an organ, but it is also gene seed. Gene seed encompasses all 18 of those organs, or 21 or whatever for Primaris.
But it's not like that sac.
No, but then there's a specific organ as well called the gene seed. So you could take that specific organ of the genetic template of the Space Marine from a Primaris Marine and put it into a Marine and raise them up to be only a regular Marine, and you just give them the 18 gene seed upgrades. You don't give him the additional 3.
Right.
And now
okay.
he is a
Correct.
regular
Yes.
Marine, right? And you can take an old Marine and give him
the 3 different organs,
and give him the new 3 organs and turn an old Marine into a Primaris
so
Marine.
Then you would have black Primaris Marines as salamanders. Because it wouldn't fix their gene seed. It's just adding in the muscle, the bone, and the whatever it is.
I know that
potentially would
there are
be, yeah.
like...
So then you would have Primaris Blood Angels that actually suffer from the Black Rage.
Potentially.
There are GW depictions, and they do depict the salamanders as black.
Oh yeah, I
Like
know,
the
but
black
that's
skin.
because
I don't
they
know if
don't
they're
know
just-
their own lore.
They're just dicking around.
They fucking
you.
mess with their lore so much. And like they don't fucking talk to each other.
Side
And
note, we can end on a
inconsistency.
happier note.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Because the Noise Marine is 10 out of 10 hilarious.
Oh, it's awesome.
It is so good. That's exactly what you'd want from a Noise Marine.
Did you guys watch the release video for that?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, I did. Yeah, I did.
It's so good. It's basically like Duncan and Peachy in a garage, and they're wearing like all the glam makeup, and they're playing guitar, and then they like lower in like their guitar soloist, and it's that model.
It's pretty
pretty
great.
good.
That's pretty
That model was, because it looks exactly like the old one, just good.
Yeah, just not from the 19 whatever.
I got one more funny
Oh my
story.
God.
One more.
Put it on us,
It's a
Marcus.
video. And it's a video for the release of Calgar. And it made me lose my mind. Because this is the last thing, then we'll end it. And we might even cut it here, depending on how outlandish I get.
Okay.
But the video was basically, it was a snapshot of a guy, and he's like, I fought Amkar and defeated him and banished him to the warp. Then it flashed to another guy, and he's like, I saved the 500 worlds, blah, blah, blah. And they were listing the deeds of Calgar, and they did like 3 or 4 guys. And then they did this woman, and she's like, I fought against the Orc hordes for 500 days. And it threw me out of the loop.
Okay.
Because it
I'm
was
waiting
like,
for the punchline.
because it was just some random chick, and then I'm like, okay, whatever, no big deal. Then they, at the end, they like show the model, and then they go back to all the people, and they're like, I am Marinius Calgar. I am Marinius Calgar. Then it goes to the chick, and she's like, I am Marinius Calgar. She says it completely different than everyone else. Like,
Yeah.
I can say the name better. That's saying something.
Sure.
And it just made me think, did they just get some random chick who doesn't know anything about Warhammer to say this just for inclusivity?
Hold on.
Inclusivity?
Was this an official video?
Yes.
Oh, I thought it was a joke video.
No.
I was waiting for the punchline.
No. And it was just like, did they...
She says it wrong? Oh.
She, not wrong, just different.
Oh.
But like literally when you hear all 5 guys say it the exact same way,
Yeah.
and then this one says it completely different, and it's just like, do you even Warhammer, bro? That's all.
Yeah, they just gotta do their affirmative action.
course,
It's
yes.
like a
And that's
marketing
what I
thing.
thought.
It is.
and
No,
I
it's
was like,
100% of marketing.
Fuck that. That's dumb.
Yeah.
I have yet to meet a female who plays
Sucks.
Warhammer.
I would love to meet a female. I would love to.
I would
a
love
female
to. I would love
on
to
this
even
podcast.
talk to a woman in general. You know, that would be just delightful.
There's some. There's like I saw a channel on YouTube. It's like this guy and his girlfriend who play.
Oh, yeah.
And on the
there's
on the
lots
Reddit
out there.
Oh, yeah.
The Reddit,
It's
I've
just
never
not-
met one.
There's just
but
not nearly as many as there are men.
my wife makes
No,
a lot
it-
of fun of me for playing this game.
Well, of course.
Yeah, it was just so funny
But
when she said
to
it
hear some
differently.
people tell it, you would think that the reason that there's that disproportionate is because it's my fault.
Yeah, because you're a
it's-
straight white male and
Right,
you
yeah. And I
you're
actively
not.
oppress females from joining the boys club. That
Yeah,
is Warhammer.
yeah.
I mean, I do. I don't like
definitely,
grills.
Of course.
And I get nervous around the grills, but you know,
Do you get made fun of as well?
from my girlfriend.
Yeah.
Probably
Relentlessly.
in private. Probably in
Relentlessly.
private. I bet to all her friends, she's like, "This fucking loser."
She does it. My wife does it to my face. She makes fun of me. She's like, "Oh, are you gonna go play with your dolls?"
That's nice. That's
you're like,
child's
"They're
play. You get
they're action figures,
Oh,
okay?
man,
They
that's
can
even worse.
move.
No, they can't. I mean, I guess yours can. Anyways, let's end it on that. That's like a solid 40 minutes beyond our episode.
of just nonsense
Yeah.
because none of it was important. None of it needed to be said.
No, none of it.
I feel like you needed to say what you said.
Yeah.
In
you
the
could have
well,
just as
well,
easily
I-
done it in a text, though.
No, I got a bunch of messages from people saying like, "Oh, what do you think?" Like, so I didn't want to have to
Oh,
literally start
obviously.
1,000 conversations with different people asking me what I thought about it.
but you're gonna do it anyway.
Oh yeah, I already did it.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, thanks for listening, guys. That was our episode on Genestealer Cultists and the cults.
Support the patriarchy.
Mark meant to say support Patreon.
Oh
That's what he
yes,
meant to say.
yes. Sorry.
Anyways,
Hey, we are an affirmative action podcast.
obviously Christmas is coming up, so geez, can you imagine that? It's Christmas. It's almost January when we're gonna get some sweet Tau RPG.
Oh yeah, you're
How's your editing going of that,
getting
Mark?
it done by the dozen, as they say.
Yeah, that's not true. That's a straight up lie, I think. Anyways, that's coming up. Awesome. I guess we'll see you guys later.
Send us a message if you disagree with me on Primaries
Oh my
and
God.
why. I'd love to hear a
I'd love
good
to fight with
argument.
you over the
No.
internet.
I would just love to hear a good argument about Primaries. That's
yeah.
all. Okay, goodbye. I love you all. Touch me at night. Good night.
Peace.
Peace out.